Chapter 2679. A bloody arrow. What do you want me to do? Sensing the increasingly terrifying killing intent, Zuda finally let go of his pride and tried to negotiate with Zhuowen. His voice even sounded like he was begging for mercy. I want you to die. After saying that, Zhuowen bit the tip of his tongue, spat out a mouthful of blood essence, and sprinkled it on the divine arrow. Whoosh! The divine arrow suddenly shot out, and the powerful recoil directly sent Zhuowen flying thousands of miles away. The divine sword had already turned into a shadow and swept toward Zuda. Zuda roared. A strong sense of crisis made him burst out with all the strength in his body. He also took out all the divine weapons he could use and used them to block in front of him. Bang! 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 Unfortunately, the divine arrow was too terrifying. The divine weapons Zuda took out were like paper in front of the divine arrow. They couldn't even last a breath. Breaking through the obstruction of the divine weapons, the divine arrow made a muffled sound and penetrated Zuda's chest. Zuda even burned his blood essence and tried his best to resist, but he found that it was all in vain. The divine arrow instantly pierced through his chest. Then, Zuda only felt his vision go black. His whole body exploded into pieces, and he couldn't be more dead. There was a human-shaped pit in the broken meteorite. Zhuowen climbed out with difficulty. When he saw the scene of Zuda being killed in an instant, he was completely stunned. This Huyi divine arrow was too terrifying. It actually killed a Destiny Master expert in an instant. But soon, Zhuowen noticed the changes in his body. Zhuowen saw that there were two flame stars between his eyebrows. The second star was originally very dim, but now it had become extremely bright. Zhuowen knew that he had unintentionally broken through the moment he shot the divine arrow. Of course, when he found that 30% of the special class Heavenly Law Origin crystal vein in the small world had been consumed, his joy of making a breakthrough vanished. Just shooting an arrow had consumed 30% of the special class Heavenly Law Origin crystal vein. How terrifying was that? Zhuowen knew that he must have absorbed the extra energy to advance to the peak 2-star Pangu sacred body. This Huyi's divine arrow is simply too terrifying. Just a single arrow like this actually absorbed 30% of the special grade Heavenly Dao Origin crystal mine. Zhuowen muttered to himself in shock. He knew very well that if he did not possess a special grade Heavenly Dao Origin crystal mine, not only would he not be able to launch the Huyi divine arrow, but he would also be sucked dry by the Huyi divine arrow. Zhuowen crawled to his feet with great difficulty and consumed a healing elixir. He barely managed to retrieve the Huyi divine arrow that had landed not too far away from him. Then, he rushed toward the mark he had left in the space-time roulette. The disturbance caused by Huyi's arrow earlier was just too great, so he didn't dare to stay here for long. Otherwise, he would draw the attention of nearby experts. The current 8 heavenly domains were no longer the same as before. With the continuous influx of cultivators from the Xian Mi heavenly domain, it was easy to encounter Dao-confirming experts. Not long after Zhuowen left, a stream of light swept over from the distant starry sky and landed on the ruins of the Wen Shui Palace. It was a bald man in a loose robe. Upon closer inspection, it was Master Yuan Hui, who had sealed the passage to the Eldritch heavenly domain. At this moment, Master Yuan Hui's eyes were extremely solemn, and his expression was quite unsightly. He looked around, waved his sleeve, and immediately released several array flags. Then, he formed a seal with both hands, as if sensing something. After a while, Master Yuan Hui put away the array flags and sighed softly. I didn't sense the Crown Prince's life aura. It seems that the Crown Prince has been killed. And Zuda, he. At this point, Master Yuan Hui's eyes were filled with fear. Just now, he had used the array flags to deduce that not only had Huang Zedi's life aura disappeared, but even Zuda, Old Bai, and Old Wu had also lost their life aura. Obviously, the three of them were also dead. Putting Old Bai and Old Wu aside, Zuda was the Master of Heaven. Even in the Huang Ji family, he was considered a powerhouse and a mainstay of the upper echelons. Such a powerhouse was almost invincible in the 8 heavenly domains. Who else could have killed Zuda? Could it be another Dao Mansion level force? Master Yuan Hui muttered to himself and continued to deduce with the array flags. Soon, he caught a few more unfamiliar auras. In particular, there was a terrifying murderous aura that even made him pale. He knew that Zuda and the others were most likely killed by the owner of the murderous aura. However, when he wanted to follow the murderous aura to find the owner of the murderous aura, he frowned because he found that the owner of the murderous aura was actually a cultivator at the extreme realm of life and death. I must have made a mistake in my deduction. Master Yuan Hui shook his head. He didn't care about the aura of the cultivator at the extreme realm of life and death. Zuda was the master of heaven, a true powerhouse. Even if there were millions of cultivators at the extreme realm of life and death, they wouldn't be able to kill Zuda. It was no wonder that Master Yuan Hui denied his deduction. Hey! There are two other auras that are familiar. This is the cultivation technique of the Purple Red House. I heard that the Purple Red House sent Fire Plume and Steel Plume this time. These two are also here. It seems like I have to ask them about the situation. Master Yuan Hui narrowed his eyes. Although he wasn't responsible for Huang Ziyi's death, he was still in the 8 heavenly domains. Now that Huang Ziyi was dead, he had to give the Huang Ji family an explanation. He couldn't just pretend that he didn't know anything and go back. With his status, the Huang Ji family wouldn't blame him too much. However, it was inevitable that the Huang Ji family would hold a grudge against him. Master Yuan Hui naturally wouldn't do that. Let's find Fire Plume and Steel Plume first. Master Yuan Hui waved his sleeve and collected the auras of Fire Plume and Steel Plume. Then, he sat cross-legged on a meteorite not far away and began to refine them. He planned to refine the auras of the two and then arrange a tracking array. With the auras as a guide, he would be able to track the exact location of Fire Plume and Steel Plume. Of course, this required a very complicated technique and an extremely high level of array Dao. Master Yuan Hui would need a long time to refine them completely. However, once he finished refining them, Fire Plume and Steel Plume wouldn't be able to escape. In the starry sky, the space-time roulette continued to fly and finally came to a stop on a remote meteorite. Will Brother Zhuo be alright? Zuda is said to be the strongest guard by Huang Ziyi's side. He's a heavens will expert. Tong Chimei said with a sobbing tone. Mu Chunxue fell silent. Her beautiful eyes were filled with worry. Although she was very confident in Zhuoan, his opponent was a heavens will expert after all. He was a second-step Dao confirming expert and was much stronger than Old Bai and Old Wu. Fire Plume and Steel Plume looked at each other and saw the helplessness and pity in each other's eyes. They admitted that Zhuoan was very strong, but the heavens will expert had already surpassed the first-step Dao confirming. No matter how strong Zhuoan was, how could he be a match for Zuda? Chapter 2680. Preparing for pill refinement. The atmosphere on the space-time roulette was bleak and silent. Soon, a streak of light broke everyone's silence. Everyone looked at the stream of light warily, but when they saw the true face of the figure in the stream of light, they were all pleasantly surprised. Husband. Big Brother Zhuo. Brother Zhuo. Everyone couldn't help but call out. Mu Chunxue flew out and threw herself at Zhuoan. Zhuoan felt his body become heavy and a strong sense of exhaustion overwhelmed him. His vision turned black and he fell into Mu Chunxue's embrace. Chen Shui, take me to the far west and find the Riker camp. After Zhuoan said this, he fell into Mu Chunxue's embrace and lost consciousness. Mu Chunxue's expression changed. She hugged Zhuoan's body and found that Zhuoan had completely lost consciousness. Her eyes were filled with worry. At this moment, Xiao He had already controlled the space-time roulette to catch Mu Chunxue and Zhuoan. Big sister Chen Shui, is Big Brother Zhuo alright? Tong Chimei asked in a worried voice. Mu Chunxue shook her head and said, he's fine. He's just exhausted too much of his energy and mind, so he fainted. Fire Plume and Steel Plume walked forward. Fire Plume said with mixed emotions, Brother Zhuo is the most abnormal genius I've ever seen. He clearly hasn't proven his Dao yet, but he was able to kill Lord Primordial Chaos and escape from the hands of the Master of Destiny. Even the peerless geniuses of Dao Palace forces can't do what Brother Zhuo has done. Steel Plume nodded in agreement. Mu Chunxue's eyes lit up when she heard this. She was proud to have a husband like Zhuoan. Whether it was Fire Plume, Steel Plume, or Mu Chunxue, none of them believed that Zhuowen had the strength to kill Zhuo De. They all thought that Zhuowen had narrowly escaped from Zhuo De's hands. Even so, they still felt that Zhuowen was extremely amazing. After all, in their eyes, Zhuowen was only a life and death cultivator. Just think about it, which life and death cultivator in this world could escape from a peerless powerhouse like the Master of Destiny? We shouldn't stay here for too long. Let's leave this place and head to the far west, Mu Chunxue said. The others nodded slightly. They had also heard Zhuo Wen's words before he fainted. They knew that the Long clan members that Zhuo Wen cared about were all in the far west. Zhuowen slowly opened his eyes and shook his head before sitting up. He looked around in a daze. The first thing he saw was Mu Chunxue, who had a happy look on her face, followed by Tong Chimei, Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and Xiao Hei. Husband, you're finally awake. Mu Chunxue quickly helped Zhuowen up. Zhuowen rubbed his forehead and said to Mu Chunxue, Chen Shui, how long have I been unconscious? Mu Chunxue said, you've been unconscious for 3 days. Right now, we're rushing to the far west. We should be able to reach the far west in another day. That's right, husband, since the Riker clan is in the far west, why didn't you tell us before? Zhuowen said with a bitter smile, when I was running for my life, I was inexplicably sent to the Six Desires heavenly domain from a blood-stained cliff. After I came back, many things happened, so I forgot to tell you about the Riker clan. The 8 heavens are about to change. I have to take the Riker clan away. Mu Chunxue nodded. She had heard about the reason for the 8 heavens change from the Fire Plume and Steel Plume from Zhuowen. The 8 heavens were indeed not a place to stay for long. Zhuowen chatted with everyone for a while before looking at Tong Chimei. Seeing Zhuowen's gaze, Tong Chimei unconsciously lowered her head and her eyes flickered. Chimei, I've implicated you in this matter. Don't worry, I'll take care of your cultivation and appearance. Zhuowen said in a gentle voice. Tong Chimei nodded and did not say anything. Her cultivation foundation had been completely destroyed by Huang Ziyi, so it would be difficult for her to recover. Moreover, her appearance had been damaged by Huang Ziyi's Dao Rime, which was a permanent injury. Not to mention losing her cultivation, even if her cultivation was at its peak, it would be difficult for her to recover her appearance. Chen Shui, I'm going into seclusion for a while. I plan to refine pills to restore Chimei. This is the Riker clan's residence. When the time comes, help me arrange the Riker clan's residence. When I come out of seclusion, I'll take the Riker clan away. After Zhuowen gave the jade slip with the location of the Riker clan's residence to Mu Chunxue, he entered the spacetime roulette and went into seclusion. The spacetime roulette was made up of spacetime laws. Although it didn't look big, there was boundless space inside, enough to accommodate hundreds of thousands of people. Therefore, Zhuowen didn't have to worry about not having enough space when he went into seclusion. Zhuowen sat cross-legged and with a wave of his sleeve, he took out the Emperor Pill Furnace. The Emperor Pill Furnace's grade was very high. Zhuowen felt that even in the Xian Mi heavenly domain, this Emperor Pill Furnace was a first-class pill furnace. Moreover, the success rate of refining pills was terrifyingly high. Moreover, Zhuowen had obtained the mysterious alchemy book from the Pill Pagoda, which contained a powerful alchemy art. With that alchemy art, Zhuowen's success rate in refining Tao-confirming divine pills was much higher than ordinary alchemists. This time, Zhuowen decided to refine 2 types of pills, the facial restoration pill and the nirvana pill. These 2 pills were both heavenly Tao divine pills, and Zhuowen had obtained many pill recipes from Huoyu in the alchemy book. These 2 pill recipes were from the alchemy book. The facial restoration pill was naturally a pill that could restore one's appearance. Moreover, it was specifically used to deal with disfigurement caused by Tao runes. It had a miraculous effect. The nirvana pill, on the other hand, was meant for cultivators whose foundations had been destroyed. It could repair their foundations and restore their cultivation. Of course, since the nirvana pill was only a heavenly Tao divine pill, it could only repair the foundations of cultivators below the heavenly Tao master. Zhuowen was only a tier 9 alchemist. This time, Zhuowen refined these 2 types of pills not only to restore Tong Chimei's health, but also to break through the shackles of Tier 9 in one fell swoop and reach the level of a Heaven Dao alchemist. Of course, if he wanted to improve his alchemy skills, he would naturally need a large number of divine medicines to practice. The main ingredients of the facial restoration pill and the nirvana pill were Heaven Dao divine medicines. Zhuowen had a lot of divine medicines on him. He had obtained many Dao-confirming divine medicines in the Origin Ground and many precious divine medicines in Huang Zedi's small world. His only regret was that he couldn't get Zhu De's spirit ring. Hu Yi's divine arrow was too overbearing. When it was shot, it directly pierced through Zhu De, causing Zhu De's body to be destroyed. Even his belongings were destroyed. Chapter 2681. Young Master Wuchangzhuowen had prepared nearly 100 sets of herbs for the face-restoring pill and nirvana pill. He first started refining the face-restoring pill. Because the face-restoring pill was relatively simple, he naturally planned to go from simple to complicated. This way, the success rate would be higher. Igniting the flame and opening the Pill Emperor furnace, the Pill Emperor tortoise hidden in the furnace hurriedly came out and fanned the flames for Zhuowen. Ever since Zhuowen had promised the Pill Emperor turtle that he would give him a divine pill for every successful cauldron of pills, the Pill Emperor turtle had been extremely attentive after Zhuowen had refined pills. The Pill Emperor tortoise was the Pill Emperor furnace's artifact spirit. Its understanding of the Pill Emperor furnace was far above Zhuowen's. With the Pill Emperor tortoise's cooperation, Zhuowen was able to refine pills smoothly without much effort. As the Pill Emperor tortoise continued to devour the pills, its strength was clearly growing stronger. After tasting such benefits, the Pill Emperor tortoise was even more enthusiastic than Zhuowen every time Zhuowen refined pills. This made Zhuowen laugh in his heart. This time, Zhuowen planned to refine heavenly Dao-grade divine pills. This fellow was even more enthusiastic and a little nervous. In the past, the Pill Emperor tortoise had only obtained Tier 8 and Tier 9 divine pills from Zhuowen. It had never tasted a heavenly Dao-grade divine pill. Whether Zhuowen succeeded or failed this time was closely related to it. It would be strange if this fellow wasn't nervous. Zhuowen first purified a set of herbs for the face-restoring pill. After feeling that it was about right, he placed the purified herbs into the Pill Emperor furnace. The Pill Emperor tortoise immediately controlled the flame while Zhuowen formed a pill seal at the side. The pill refining process proceeded in an orderly manner. Gradually, a rich medicinal fragrance wafted out from the pill furnace. This medicinal fragrance contained an inexplicable Dao rhythm. About 2 hours later, a dull explosion came from the Pill Emperor furnace. Then, a burnt smell came from the medicinal fragrance. Zhuowen revealed a helpless look. He knew that his first attempt to refine the face-restoring pill had failed. However, Zhuowen wasn't discouraged. Instead, he prepared a new set of herbs and continued to purify them. Then, he placed them into the Pill Emperor furnace. Minutes and seconds passed. After Zhuowen refined the 9th set of herbs, he stopped and began to ponder silently. His mind kept replaying the steps and every technique he used to concoct the medicine. He wanted to find the real reason for his failure. The Pill Emperor tortoise, with a heartache. In the end, it didn't stop muttering about Zhuowen's prodigal actions. After pondering for an entire day and night, Zhuowen finally opened his eyes once more. Then, he once again picked up the 10th set of medicinal ingredients and began the purification work. This time, pill refining pill, Pill Emperor furnace, to the immortal refining pill. Was Pill Emperor pill. To Master Zhuowen of heavens. Of heavens Dao of heavens God furnace. Seeing this, the Pill Emperor tortoise revealed a joyful expression. It felt that the pill refining this time was different from the previous 9 times. Suddenly, the Pill Emperor furnace buzzed. The medicinal fragrance became extremely dense and turned into surging clouds. Then, the top of the Pill Emperor furnace was lifted, and 12 pills flew out. Zhuowen took out a jade bottle and placed all 12 pills inside. Zhuowen was pleasantly surprised. This time, all 12 face-restoring pills were successful. He knew that this was all thanks to the mysterious alchemy book's alchemy technique. This alchemy technique was originally to increase the success rate. Since he had found the method to refine heavenly Tao divine pills, the success rate naturally wouldn't be low. After handing one of the face-restoring pills to the pill Emperor Tortoise, Zhuowen sat cross-legged on the ground. He silently felt the process of refining the pill. His eyes revealed a trace of enlightenment. He could clearly feel that his spirit seemed to have improved a lot at this moment. He knew that the moment he successfully refined the pill, he was already a genuine heavenly Tao alchemist. Next, I can refine the Nirvana pill. Zhuowen's eyes revealed excitement. He knew that once he successfully refined heavenly Tao divine pills, the Nirvana pill wouldn't be too difficult for him. Sure enough, with the help of the alchemy technique and the pill Emperor Tortoise, Zhuowen only used one try to refine the Nirvana pill. Moreover, all 12 pills were successful. Zhuowen knew that the moment he became a heavenly Tao alchemist, there was basically no chance of failure in refining heavenly Tao divine pills in his hands. If the alchemists of the Xian Mi heavenly domain knew about Zhuowen's situation, they would definitely be dumbfounded. It was really too unbelievable. One had to know that even if a heavenly Tao alchemist refined heavenly Tao divine pills, maintaining a success rate of about 50% was already very heaven-defying. Moreover, even if a second-step alchemist refined heavenly Tao divine pills, it was very difficult to have a 100% success rate. At most, it was 80 to 90%. However, Zhuowen had just become a heavenly Tao alchemist, and he could refine heavenly Tao divine pills with a 100% success rate. It could be said that Zhuowen was absolutely heaven-defying. After putting away the Nirvana pills, Zhuowen prepared to come out of seclusion. Soon, he noticed that his communication jade talisman was ringing. He opened the jade talisman and found that it was a message from Mu Chunxue. After reading the message, Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly opened the restrictions around him and stepped out, arriving on the space-time roulette's deck. At this moment, the deck was ablaze with flames. An incomparably huge phoenix phantom spread its wings and flew high, enveloping the space-time roulette's surroundings. On the deck, Fire Plume and Steel Plume were both injured. They sat on the side, paralyzed. Tong Chimei was taking care of the two of them, while Xiao Hei was controlling the space-time roulette. Only now did Zhuowen realize that outside the Phoenix Phantom, there were actually rays of light descending. It looked like countless meteors were falling, dazzling and dangerous. At the top of these rays of light was an extremely luxurious flying ship. The exterior of this flying ship was built to look like an incomparably huge palace. It was grand and majestic, and it was extremely luxurious. At this moment, there were 3 figures standing at the top of the palace. The person in the lead was extremely young. He looked to be about 15 or 16 years old. He wore luxurious feather clothes, held a feather fan in his hand, and wore a feather crown on his head. His skin was whiter than snow. Standing on either side of the youth were a man and a woman. The man was dressed in black, and his skin was extremely dark. If it were night, it would be difficult to distinguish him from the darkness. The woman was the opposite of the man. She was dressed in white, and her face was frighteningly pale. She looked like a female ghost instead of a normal person. The rays of light were the attacks launched by the feather-clothed youth. The feather-clothed youth's aura was not very strong. He was probably at the level of Heavenly Law Master. However, the feather fan in his hand was not ordinary. With a casual wave of his hand, he unleashed an attack that even Dao Yuan Master would have to deal with. Obviously, he was not an ordinary person. Child Wuchang, don't you think you have crossed the line? The Purple Red House has no enmity with you. Why are you attacking us? After taking the healing medicine, Fire Plume looked up at the feather-clothed youth. Her beautiful eyes were filled with resentment. Chapter 2682. Merciless Crush. The youth named young Lord Wu Chang shot a disdainful glance at Fire Plume and said, Fire Plume, what qualifications do you have to talk to me? Although your Purple Red House is a Dao Gate level force, it's only trash ranked at the bottom of the Dao Gate level forces. It's not impossible for our Impermanence Palace to destroy your Purple Red House. Moreover, it's rare to encounter a woman with the Phoenix bloodline in the 8 heavens, so I, young Lord Wu Chang, want this woman. Yet you obstruct me in every way possible. Just because of this, I won't be wrong to kill you. Speaking up to here, young Lord Wu Chang waved his feather fan again and the power of the falling light increased sharply. The phoenix phantom that was already on the verge of collapse let out a mournful cry and collapsed with a loud bang. Mu Chunxue grunted, but she was not afraid in the face of danger. After taking a few steps back, she continued to use the power of fire to neutralize the aftershock and landed calmly on the deck. Young Lord Wu Chang obviously did not intend to be heavy-handed. After Mu Chunxue's phoenix phantom was destroyed, he withdrew his hand and said indifferently, I say, little beauty, I've taken a fancy to your phoenix bloodline. With your cultivation, you're still far from being able to fight me. Come with me obediently and you'll be spared from physical pain. Mu Chunxue ignored young Lord Wu Chang's invitation and came to Zhuowen's side in pleasant surprise, whispering softly, Husband, you've come out of seclusion? Zhuowen nodded and immediately looked coldly at young Lord Wu Chang in front of him and asked, Who is this clown? Brother Zhuo, this young Lord Wu Chang is the young palace master of Impermanence Palace. Impermanence Palace is also a Dao Gate level force in the eastern Dao territory of the Xian Mi Heavens domain. It's just that its ranking is slightly higher. Fire Plume explained. Young Lord Wu Chang saw that Mu Chunxue was acting so intimately with a man who had just appeared and was only in the twin extremities of life and death. Moreover, this man had openly challenged him and called him a clown. This infuriated young Master Wu Chang, causing him to hold back his anger. Because of his cultivation method, he needed a fire attribute physique, so he immediately sensed that the phoenix bloodline in Mu Chunxue's body was different, so he made a move. In the end, he was pleasantly surprised to find that Mu Chunxue actually had the phoenix bloodline. The woman he had taken a fancy to was now calling another man her husband, and she was even acting affectionately. Moreover, this man was an ant in the extreme realm of life and death. How could young Master Wuchang tolerate this? He couldn't wait to kill this despicable man. Who do you think you are? You are merely at the two extremes of life and death, yet you still dare to put on an act in front of me. If you are still a man, then come out and spar with me. I want to see if you have the strength to keep the woman I fancy, young Master Wu Chang said coldly. Young Master Wuchang was sure that the white-robed young man in front of him would definitely not dare to accept the challenge. Once the white-robed young man did not dare to accept the challenge, he would have even more reason to attack. At that time, he would make the white-robed young man suffer a fate worse than death. You want to spar with me? Zhuowen had a strange look in his eyes. Not only Zhuowen, but Mu Chunxue, Fire Plume, and Steel Plume also had strange looks on their faces. Although Zhuowen's aura was only at the extreme realm of life and death, they knew that Zhuowen's true strength was extremely terrifying. Even Lord Hunyuan had died in the hands of Zhuowen, which showed just how powerful Zhuowen was. Young Master Wuchang's cultivation was only at the heavenly Dao Master realm. Although he relied on the feather fan in his hand to display extraordinary combat strength, he only had the strength of a Dao origin master at most. Would he not be looking for trouble if he encountered Zhuowen? Young Master Wuchang raised his chin slightly and said proudly, What? You don't dare to? Why wouldn't I dare? Zhuowen smiled slightly and swept out of the space-time roulette, standing above young Master Wuchang and looking down at him. Young Master Wuchang frowned slightly. He was very unhappy that Zhuowen was looking down on him with such an attitude. He sneered, took a step forward, and landed in front of Zhuowen, saying, You've got guts, but unfortunately, you're going to die soon. The man and woman standing next to young Master Wuchang frowned slightly, but they did not move. Young Master Wuchang had just sent a voice transmission telling them not to follow him and that he would be the one to deal with this battle. Although the two of them felt a little uneasy, they didn't care too much when they thought that young Master Wuchang was only facing an ant at the extreme realm of life and death. With the feather fan in hand, young Master Wuchang took a step forward and waved the feather fan in his hand. Instantly, countless rays of light shot out from all directions like meteors and enveloped Zhuowen. You're just an ant, overestimating yourself. You're making me laugh my head off. Young Master Wuchang gently waved the feather fan and sneered gracefully when he saw the countless rays of light drowning Zhuowen. However, after young Master Wuchang said this, he immediately felt that something was wrong. Because after the rays of light disappeared, He found that the place where Zhuowen was originally standing was empty, as if he had disappeared into thin air. He should have been completely annihilated by my attack, young Master Wuchang muttered. He did not doubt this. After all, Zhuowen was only at the extreme realm of life and death. In his eyes, Zhuowen was just an ant. Young Master, be careful. When young Master Wuchang was about to turn around and return to the spaceship, the man and woman on the spaceship suddenly shouted. Before young Master Wuchang could even react, he felt a terrifying gust of wind sweeping toward him, heading straight for his face. Bang. Young Master Wuchang only felt a heavy blow to his cheek, and then his whole body was involuntarily sent flying. His cheeks were red, and he spat out blood. When young Master Wuchang wanted to see who had attacked him, he found that the person who attacked him had already closed in on him the moment he threw a punch. Only then did he see that the person who had closed in on him was actually the extreme realm of life and death in white that he disdained. At this moment, the white-clothed young man's face was indifferent as his fists rained down on young Master Wuchang's body. Every punch that landed on young Master Wuchang's body seemed to be able to break him apart. Young Master Wuchang roared and tried to get up to resist, only to find that the young man in white in front of him was too fierce. He couldn't get up at all and could only passively endure the barrage of punches coming his way. Young Master Wuchang was shocked. Is this really the power of the extreme realm of life and death? How could it be so terrifying? Bang! Zhuowen clenched his fist and punched young Master Wuchang's chest. The wind from the punch whistled, like countless thunderbolts spreading out and exploding. Poochie! Young Master Wuchang spat out a mouthful of blood and fell straight down like a withered leaf. Zhuowen jumped down and unceremoniously stepped on young Master Wuchang's head, making him unable to move at all. Zhuowen's eyes were sharp, and his hands were quick. He took the feather fan and the spirit ring from young Master Wuchang's hand and unceremoniously took them. Arth! Young Master Wuchang's lungs were about to explode. He kept struggling, but it was futile. Zhuowen's strength was too terrifying. It was like 1,000 pounds pressing down on his head, firmly suppressing him. Young Master. Chapter 2683. Tyrannical art of slaying. Zhuowen's right hand moved like lightning. The power of the two-star pinnacle Pangu sacred body burst out and quickly blasted Child Wuchang's limbs, shattering them. Zhuowen then grabbed Child Wuchang by the neck and lifted him into the air. The man and woman in black and white looked at Zhuowen with ghastly expressions. They were also shocked. The young man in front of them was only at the extreme realm of life and death. How could he be so powerful? Do you know who Child Wuchang is? How dare you act so recklessly? The man in black looked at him coldly and did not hide the killing intent in his eyes. You're just the young palace master of Wuchang Palace. Is Wuchang Palace that great? Is it a Dao Palace force? Zhuowen said calmly while holding Child Wuchang. The man in black was stunned. He suppressed his anger and said, although Wuchang Palace is not a Dao Palace force, it is still one of the top Dao sects. You're courting death. If you don't want to die, you'd better let go of Child Wuchang. Child Wuchang calmed down and said coldly, both black and white impermanents are experts of Master Han Yuan. If you kill me on impulse, you'll face the wrath of black and white impermanence. You'll definitely die. How about this? You let me go and I'll make a blood oath not to touch you. I'll let you go safely. This is the best way to get the best of both worlds. Zhuowen sneered as he looked at the seemingly calm young Master Wuchang. He knew that young Master Wuchang's words were a little threatening. Did he think that Zhuowen would be afraid of the black and white impermanents in front of him? The black and white impermanents were indeed Master Han Yuan, but their auras were not as strong as Old White and Old Wu. Old White and Old Wu were both at the peak of Master Han Yuan, while the black and white impermanents were only at the early stage of Master Han Yuan. Zhuowen could even kill Old White and Old Wu, who were both at the peak of Master Han Yuan, let alone the black and white impermanents. Child Wuchang was confident that the young man in white would agree to his proposal. In his opinion, the young man in white was indeed powerful, but how could he be stronger than Master Han Yuan? Let you go. I really can't do it. Since you've set your sights on my wife, this matter is naturally not that simple. Zhuowen said casually. Young Master Wuchang was dumbfounded and said in disbelief, "Are you not afraid of Hunyuan Master? You must be crazy." Unfortunately, as soon as Child Wuchang finished speaking, Zhuowen violently flung him away, smashing him directly at the feet of Mu Chunxue on the spacetime roulette deck. The pitiful Prince Wuchang's limbs had been crippled by Zhuowen, and his energy had been sealed. He was now like a mortal, unable to resist at all. He fell to the ground, grimacing in pain. Black and White Impermanence, kill him. Young Impermanence had also given up, and Zhuowen clearly did not intend to let him go. So, the moment Young Impermanence was thrown out, he immediately shouted at the Black and White Impermanence. Black and White Impermanence's eyes were filled with murderous intent. This person really didn't know what was good for him. It was obvious that Young Master Impermanence was about to bow his head, but this person still refused to give up. If they didn't kill this person, they would never be able to calm down. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Black and White Impermanence turned into two streams of light, one black and one white. They held black and white swords and aimed at Zhuowen's vital points, wanting to completely kill Zhuowen. It had to be said that the Black and White Impermanence's cooperation was extremely tacit. The two of them had obviously blocked all of Zhuowen's escape routes. No matter where Zhuowen wanted to retreat, he would have to face their attacks. Zhuowen stood in place with a sneer on the corner of his mouth. He had no intention of retreating at all. Two early-stage Master Hunyuan cultivators were not qualified to force him to retreat. Seeing that Zhuowen did not evade, the Black and White Impermanence revealed a ferocious smile. The moment they approached Zhuowen, the two of them unceremoniously slashed out with their divine swords. The black and white swords broke through the starry sky and intersected like a pair of scissors. Zhuowen's whole body was enveloped by the powerful scissor-like swords, completely drowning in the black and white. "You've overestimated yourself. You deserve to die now." Looking at the figure drowned in the black and white swords, the Black and White Impermanence could not help but sneer. "Slaughtering Dao Palm." An indifferent voice was heard. Immediately, the two black and white swords suddenly collapsed. A huge palm appeared out of thin air and blasted toward the Black and White Impermanence. Two muffled groans were heard. Immediately, the Black and White Impermanence were seen retreating. They looked in horror at the young man in white who was unscathed and had used the Slaughtering Dao Palm. The Slaughtering Dao Palm was the second move of the Slaughtering Dao art. It was so powerful that it could kill a Daoyuan master. Moreover, Zhuowen used the Slaughtering Dao Palm with the two-star Pangu sacred body, so its power was even more terrifying and powerful. This guy has learned the Slaughtering Dao art. The Black and White Impermanence, who had been repelled, looked at Zhuowen, who had used the Slaughtering Dao Palm, with astonishment in their eyes. The Slaughtering Dao art was very famous in the Xian-Mi heavenly domain. It was not only because the Slaughtering Dao art was very powerful, but also because the Slaughtering Dao art had great limitations. It could only be cultivated to the Daoyuan master level. Most Dao-proving experts in the Xian-Mi heavenly domain rarely cultivated Dao arts like the Slaughtering Dao art. However, the Black and White Impermanence were puzzled. Zhuowen was only in the two extremities of life and death. How could his Slaughtering Dao Palm be so powerful? Zhuowen shook his sleeves and blasted out two more palms. The terrifying power of the heavenly way was like an angry dragon. It condensed into two huge palms and roared toward the Black and White Impermanence. The Black and White Impermanence's eyes turned gloomy when they saw the two palms. They found that the two palms that Zhuowen had blasted out were extremely powerful. Even their arms were trembling and it was difficult for them to resist. The two of them couldn't help but rejoice that Zhuowen hadn't learned the third move of the Slaughtering Dao art. The Slaughtering Dao Palm was already so terrifying. They really couldn't imagine how powerful it would be if he used the Slaughtering Dao Palm. Just as the two of them were rejoicing, Zhuowen in front of them formed a seal again. Then, the surrounding heavenly way laws began to become chaotic and turned into a storm. Then, two huge arms suddenly stretched out from behind Zhuowen. The two arms were formed purely by the power of the heavenly way. They were invisible but could be sensed. Poochie. When the two Slaughtering Dao Palms broke through the air and landed in front of the Black and White Impermanence, the black and white impermanence's hearts skipped a beat. They burned their blood essence and sped up to the extreme. They actually planned to escape. Zhuowen's eyes turned cold. He formed a seal with both hands and spat out a mouthful of blood essence. He used the Pangu Banner's forbidden profound, Hong Meng Wuji. Suddenly, the space around the black and white impermanence completely froze. Even the heavenly way laws were sealed. The two of them stopped in their tracks. Therefore, this pause was only for a moment, but it was enough to be fatal. Chapter 2684. Dragon Domain. Zhuowen's face was pale and he almost couldn't stand straight. He immediately took a healing pill and his figure was no longer in a sorry state. Just now, he had only used the profound meaning of forbidden to stop the black and white impermanence for a breath of time, but it had consumed 50% of his energy. It had to be said that the profound meaning had consumed too much of his energy. He couldn't imagine if he could withstand the terrifying consumption of the profound meaning if he wanted to stop the black and white impermanence for a longer period of time. How is this possible? Young Master Wuchang stared blankly at the black and white impermanence being turned into nothingness by the Tao slaughtering hand, his eyes filled with disbelief. Zhuowen slowly landed on the space-time roulette's deck and indifferently looked at young Master Wuchang. Then he said to Mu Chenxue, "Chen Shui, how do you plan to deal with this person?" Young Master Wuchang trembled. He didn't dare look at Zhuowen's cold eyes and instead looked at Mu Chenxue with anticipation, hoping to win Mu Chenxue's sympathy. Unfortunately, Mu Chenxue's eyes were filled with coldness. She was very clear that young Master Wuchang in front of her didn't have good intentions when he wanted to take her away. If Zhuowen wasn't strong enough, not only would Zhuowen be killed, her end wouldn't be any better. Sometimes, being kind to the enemy was being cruel to yourself. Mu Chenxue waved her hand and a flame poured out, wrapping around young Master Wuchang. With a miserable scream, young Master Wuchang was burned to ashes. Brother Zhuo, if you go to the Xianmi Heavenly Domain, you have to be careful of the Huangji family and Wuchang Palace. You killed people from these two forces, so they definitely won't let this matter rest. Fire Plume said in a worried voice. Zhuowen nodded and said, "Many thanks for Miss Fire Plume's reminder. I won't implicate the two of you in this matter." Fire Plume angrily stomped her foot and said, "That's not what I meant. Don't misunderstand, all right? I know, but I was the one who caused this. It has nothing to do with you." After Zhuowen finished speaking, he continued, "Have you found the Long family's encampment?" Mu Chenxue replied, "Found it. It's about an hour's journey from here, but we were stopped halfway by that young Master Wu Chang. All right, let's go to the Rika camp first. Oh right, Chimei, these 2 bottles of medicinal pills are for you." As Zhuowen spoke, he took out the jade bottles containing the rebirth pills and rejuvenation pills and passed them over to Tong Chimei who stood at the side. "Big brother Zhuo, what's this?" Tong Chimei asked curiously. These 2 jade bottles contain the facial restoration pill and the nirvana pill. The facial restoration pill can help you recover your looks, while the nirvana pill can help you recover your foundation and cultivation, Zhuowen said. Tong Chimei was pleasantly surprised. She had never doubted Zhuowen's words. "You refined these facial restoration pills and nirvana pills?" Fire Plume asked suspiciously. If Fire Plume wasn't wrong, the facial restoration pills and nirvana pills were both heavenly Tao divine pills. Zhuowen wasn't a heavenly Tao alchemist in the past, so he shouldn't have been able to refine these 2 divine pills. Could it be that this guy had broken through? "I refined them. I went into seclusion to refine these 2 divine pills, and I successfully refined them, so I advanced to the heavenly Tao alchemist level." Zhuowen saw through Fire Plume's thoughts, and he spoke without hiding anything. Fire Plume was a little numb. She felt that this white-clothed young man was a little too freakish. His strength was already terrifying enough, but he had actually broken through to the heavenly Tao alchemy level in both the Tao of formations and the Tao of pills. "Zhuowen, are you really at the extreme realm of life and death?" Fire Plume asked subconsciously. Zhuowen was stunned, and then he smiled. "Yes. Then do you know the grade of your ancestral Tao root?" Fire Plume was unwilling to give up. She felt that since Zhuowen's cultivation was already so heaven-defying at the extreme realm of life and death, then the ancestral Tao root within his body was definitely extraordinary, and it was very likely to be a top-rate ancestral Tao root. I haven't tested my ancestral Tao root. Zhuowen shook his head. Let's talk about the ancestral Tao root in the future. As for junior sister Chimei, I intend to hand her over to you. She possesses an Earth-grade ancestral Tao root, and I presume your Violet Red House would be more than happy to have such a genius, right? Zhuowen continued. After experiencing this string of events, Zhuowen didn't intend to allow the people by his side to continue staying in Xian-Mi region. Even though Tong Chimei's ancestral Tao root was sufficient for her to enter a Tao Palace level power, she might not be valued highly, and it was even to the extent that she might be discriminated against in that power because of her background. On the other hand, Zhuowen had interacted with Fire Plume and Steel Plume for a period of time, and he knew that they didn't have bad natures. If Tong Chimei joined the Violet Red House, then she would be able to receive their care, and she would definitely be able to develop even better. Fire Plume revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. She'd been coveting Tong Chimei's ancestral Tao root for a long time, and being able to recruit a genius with an Earth-grade ancestral Tao root was absolutely an extremely good thing for the Violet Red House. Junior sister Chimei, are you willing to join our Violet Red House? Don't worry, I guarantee that our Violet Red House will do our best to foster you. Fire Plume hurriedly looked at Tong Chimei and asked. Tong Chimei glanced at Zhuowen, and when she saw him nod at her, she nodded in agreement as well. Fire Plume was pleasantly surprised, and she hurriedly held Tong Chimei's hands. No one knew what they were talking about, but the two of them quickly became extremely intimate. Dragon City was the core of the Dragon Domain. The master of the Dragon Domain, the Riker, lived in Dragon City. A huge stone statue stood at the entrance of Dragon City. The statue depicted a young man in white robes. Although the young man wasn't an extremely handsome man, he was extremely pleasing to the eye. All the cultivators who entered Dragon City knew that the statue's owner was called Long Wen, and it was said that he was the true leader of the Riker. The reason Riker had been able to develop to its current scale was basically because of Long Wen. Of course, the cultivators who knew the inside story also knew that Long Wen had another name, Zhuowen. When Zhuowen arrived at Dragon City and saw the bustling city, he couldn't help but nod inwardly. During his absence, his parents, grandfather, and big brother Lu Hantian had developed the Riker quite well. Moreover, Zhuowen's divine sense also detected several figures who were in seclusion in the depths of Dragon City. Among them, Lu Hantian caught Zhuowen's attention the most. Because Lu Hantian's cultivation had reached the life enlightenment realm, it could be said that he was the strongest person in the Riker. Even his father, Long Xiaotian, was not as strong as Lu Hantian. Zhuowen entered the depths of Dragon City and spread out his divine sense, entering the minds of all the Riker people. Zhuowen, that kid, is finally back. In the depths of the cliff, Lu Hantian suddenly opened his eyes. With a carefree smile on his face, he smashed the surrounding cliff and leaped out. When is back. In the luxurious attic in the center of Dragon City, Long Xiaotian and Long Xiangding were playing chess, while Feng Xiao stood on the side and poured tea. At the same time, she was watching the father and son play chess with a smile on her face. But soon, the three figures froze, and Feng Xiao was the first to rush out. Long Xiaotian and Long Xiangding looked at each other and saw a touch of joy in each other's eyes. They quickly got up and left the room. Chapter 2685. Preparations in the Dragon City Plaza. Zhuowen led Mu Chen Shui and the others as they strolled leisurely. Soon, the Long family's people lined up in front of them. When the members of the Long family arrived, many of the cultivators around the square recognized them. Reverence appeared on their faces as they made way for them. Looking at the members of the Long family who had arrived, they discussed animatedly. Then, the cultivators were surprised to find that the core members of the Riker, who dominated the entire Dragon City, were kneeling on one knee on the ground. They were kneeling towards the young man who was strolling leisurely in the plaza. Long Xiaotian, Lu Hantian, and the rest of the Riker elites rushed forward and surrounded the young man in the center. They were extremely excited. Some of the sharp-eyed cultivators saw the young man's face and felt that it was very familiar. Then, they thought of the stone statue outside the dragon city and felt that the young man looked exactly the same as the stone statue. This shouldn't be the dragon text, right? Such a powerhouse has returned. The Riker is going to rise to another level. I thought that we could still surpass the Riker and replace them. Now, it seems that it's not possible. Amidst the discussions, Zhuowen was led into the Riker residence by Long Xiaotian and Lu Hantian. In the luxurious hall, Zhuowen sat on the main seat. Lu Hantian, Long Xiaotian, and Long Xiangding sat on either side of him. Zhuowen, are you planning to bring the Riker to the Xian Mi celestial domain? Lu Hantian suddenly asked. Yes, the 8 heavens are already a place of trouble. If we continue to stay, we will be implicated. No one can avoid it. Zhuowen said. Is it because of the prehistoric celestial domain? Long Xiaotian asked. Zhuowen shook his head and said, it's not all because of the great desolate heaven realm. I'm afraid that the 8 great heavens will turn into the demon realm soon. Zhuowen explained in detail about the land of origin on Earth. Although there were many resources in the land of origin, Zhuowen also knew that it was now under the control of Donghuang Taiyi. Entering the land of origin would be courting death. Donghuang Taiyi had already turned Huaxia heaven region into a devil region. His next move was to turn the other 7 heaven regions into devil regions, making the other 8 heaven regions his territory. After hearing Zhuowen's explanation, the Riker's faces changed. Zhuowen, are you planning to take the entire dragon city with you? Long Xiangding asked. Zhuowen shook his head and said, no need, Dragon City is too big, and there are crooks mixed in with the honest folk. I will only take the real Riker, the rest will not be taken away. After the betrayal of the Riker, Zhuowen was a little disgusted with outsiders who joined the Riker. If they were not reliable people, Zhuowen would not spend so much effort to take them away. Brother Hantian, father, mother, and grandfather, how long will it take for you to make the arrangements? Zhuowen asked. Long Xiaotian pondered for a while and said, it will be very fast, just a day. However, there are many resources in the Riker that need to be transported. I'm afraid it will take a lot of time. It will take about 5 days to arrange everything. Alright, in these 5 days, you all go and make the arrangements. I plan to go into seclusion again. If I don't come out by then, it's best to use the communication talisman to inform me. After making the arrangements, Zhuowen chose an extremely spacious mansion, set up layers of restrictions, and went into seclusion again. Mu Chunxue and the others did not disturb Zhuowen. They could see that Zhuowen attached great importance to this seclusion. Mu Chunxue and the others guessed right. Zhuowen indeed attached great importance to this seclusion, because he planned to take advantage of these 5 days to madly absorb the Heavenly Way rule energy in the Heavenly Way crystal vein in order to break through to the 3-star Pangu sacred body. Zhuowen directly entered the small world and sat cross-legged in the center of the Heavenly Way crystal vein. Like a whale sucking in water, he began to absorb the Heavenly Way energy in the vein. If Zhuowen hadn't been in the minor world, the commotion caused by him absorbing the Heavenly Tao origin crystals would have definitely alarmed the entire Dragon City. It was just too terrifying. It was like a huge wave had risen up on the surface of the sea. 5 days later, Zhuowen's communication talisman rang, and Zhuowen slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, the 3rd dim star appeared in the flame star between Zhuowen's eyebrows, which meant that Zhuowen's Pangu sacred body had entered the 3-star realm. Of course, it was only at the early stage of the 3-star realm. Zhuowen looked at the Heavenly Way origin crystal vein, which had lost nearly 10% of its original value. He knew that after absorbing so much energy from the Heavenly Way origin crystal vein, he could only barely advance to the 3-star Pangu sacred body. Now, he finally knew how difficult it was to cultivate the Pangu sacred body. Moreover, Zhuowen also knew that the Pangu sacred body was a step every 3 stars, just like the 3 steps of Taoism. Each step had 3 realms. When the Pangu sacred body reached the 3-star realm, it would be extremely difficult to advance to the 4-star realm. The resources required would be unimaginable. Zhuowen knew that even if he absorbed all the energy from the Heavenly Way origin crystal vein, he would at most advance to the peak of the 3-star realm. It was basically wishful thinking to break through the 3-star realm and advance to the 4-star realm. Since there was no hope for him to break through to the 4-star realm, Zhuowen naturally did not plan to use up all the Heavenly Way Origin Crystal Vein. He planned to use the remaining Heavenly Way Origin Crystal Vein to shoot Hu Yi's divine arrows. The remaining 60% of the Heavenly Way Origin Crystal Vein was enough for Zhuowen to shoot Hu Yi's divine arrows 2 more times. Zhuowen clenched his fists. After advancing to the 3-star Pangu sacred body, Zhuowen felt that his strength had multiplied many times. Now, he could kill Hunyuan Master even without using Taoist skills. Even the Heavens Will Master would have a hard time killing Zhuowen now. Of course, if Zhuowen reached the peak of the 3-star realm, his strength would increase by several times. He would be able to kill the Master of Destiny with his bare hands. That would be truly heaven-defying. At the same time, Zhuowen also realized that the space within Devourer King's body had begun to evolve into a real world after the strength of his doppelganger had increased. There were also various kinds of rules appearing in it. It would not be long before the space within Devourer King's body became a real world. After leaving the small world, Zhuowen opened the door and found Long Xiaotian, Lu Hantian, Mu Chunxue, and the others there. "Father, is everything ready?" Zhuowen asked. "Everything is ready. This time, we have selected people who are absolutely trustworthy. There are more than 1,000 of them, and they are the backbone of our Rika," Long Xiaotian said. "Good. Bring them into the space-time roulette. There are countless spaces in the space-time roulette. It is more than enough to accommodate more than 1,000 people." Chapter 2686. The Phoenix people. In the cold and dark starry sky, a broken meteorite exploded, and a green-haired corpse flew out from the meteorite, its eyes glowing with a green light. The green-haired corpse looked in the direction of the Hua Xia heavenly region and muttered to itself, "Donghuang Tai is really fast. He has already begun to expand his territory. But this is good too. With Donghuang Tai causing such a huge commotion here, I think he will attract the attention of the sorcerer tribe. At that time, he won't notice me." The green-haired corpse laughed and came to the seal. Then, it punched the seal, and the terrifying fist force formed a terrifying spiral vortex. Crack, crack, crack. A dull sound rang out from the seal, and then countless cracks appeared on the surface of the seal. In the end, it collapsed into countless spots of light. Break again. The green-haired corpse punched again, and the gap in the seal expanded several times. It looked like an endless black hole, and it was terrifying. The moment the seal was broken, the green-haired corpse turned into a green light and disappeared from the hole. Not long after the green-haired corpse disappeared, the black hole was filled with ghostly wails and howls. Then, black shadows swept out from the depths of the black hole like ghosts. Their voices were sharp and ear-piercing. "The seal has been broken. Although I don't know who did it, it's a good thing for us. Hehe, I heard that there are many humans in the 8 heavens. Other than fighting in the starry sky, I haven't seen a human for a long time, let alone have a taste of one. I miss it so much. Since we're already out, let's kill to our heart's content, haha." The evil conversation, accompanied by the black shadows, continued to ring out. Rumble. Suddenly, a terrifying flame spewed out from the depths of the black hole. The black shadows that were still lingering at the entrance of the hole screamed the moment they came into contact with the flame, and then they were annihilated into ashes. "Leave quickly, it's the Phoenix people's almighty. What's going on?" The Phoenix people are one of the 4 Shengzon, and one of the top 10 races. Why would such an almighty be interested in the 8 heavens? Who knows? If we encounter such an almighty, we should try to avoid them. Otherwise, we won't even know how we died. The black shadows were afraid, and they all ran away, not daring to get close to the black hole. The flame was still raging at the entrance of the black hole, and it was getting more and more intense. The flame was extremely terrifying. As it burned, the surrounding stars were distorted as if they disappeared. When the flames reached their most terrifying state, a figure slowly walked out. It was a tall man wearing a flaming armor, like a flaming god of war. This man's skin was a healthy wheat-colored color. His face was resolute, as if it had been carved by a knife. The edges and corners of his face were distinct, and there was a flame mark between his eyebrows. This person's flame mark was completely different from the flame star on Zhuo Wen's forehead. The flame star on Zhuo Wen's forehead was more like a dot, but this person's flame imprint was like a vivid flame. There is a member of our race in the Baronate Heavens, and he has awakened the Phoenix bloodline, which resonates with our ancestral land. He must be an extraordinary bloodline inheritor. We must bring such a genius back to the Phoenix people. If he is discovered by the human race or other races, our race will be destroyed. The flame mark between the man's eyebrows kept flashing. He looked forward with a hint of worry in his eyes. He knew very well that anyone who could resonate with the ancestral land was an earth-shattering almighty figure in the Phoenix clan. Now, another such genius had appeared among the Phoenix people. It was a great fortune for the Phoenix people. However, such a genius was still wandering outside. It was very dangerous. If someone found out that he had the powerful Phoenix bloodline, he would be in great danger. We have to find this person as soon as possible. Fortunately, I have already informed the elders of our race. They will be here soon. I hope I'm not too late, the man murmured worriedly. Then, he stepped on the starry sky with his right foot and rushed forward like a bolt of lightning. He was also a Phoenix people. He had a special ability to sense the bloodline of his own race. Therefore, the moment he entered the starry sky, he sensed the person who had awakened the Phoenix bloodline. Now, he was going to the place where that person was. Zhuowen watched as the Riker people entered the space-time wheel. When all the Riker people had entered, Zhuowen turned to Fire Plume and Steel Plume and said, "When we leave the Great Brahma Heaven Domain and enter the starry sky, we will have to part ways. I hope you can take them to the Xian Mi Heaven Domain first." "Brother Zhuo, what do you mean?" Fire Plume and Steel Plume asked in surprise. Mu Chunxue also exclaimed, "Husband, are you not coming with us? I still have some things to do. I might be a little late." Zhuowen smiled helplessly. He had collected the 3 spacetime keys for some time, but he had not had the time to enter the spacetime temple. Now that he was about to leave the Xian Mi Heaven Domain, he naturally had to go to the spacetime temple to take a look. Perhaps he would gain something. Mu Chunxue seemed to have guessed something. She nodded slightly and said with a smile, "Husband, be careful." Zhuowen chuckled. He hugged Mu Chunxue and said, "Chen Shui, don't worry. Your husband's life is very tough." Mu Chunxue giggled and flirted with Zhuowen. Then, Zhuowen arranged for everyone to enter the spacetime wheel and leave the Dragon City. Half a day later, the spacetime wheel had left the Great Brahma Heaven Domain and entered the starry sky. The starry sky was filled with countless dead stars and trash stars. The entire starry sky was pitch black and lifeless. After Zhuowen entered the starry sky, he immediately flew towards the heavenly moat. However, after flying for 2 hours, Zhuowen's pupils shrank. He felt an intense uneasiness in his heart. It was this uneasiness that made Zhuowen immediately stop the spacetime wheel. "Husband, what's wrong?" Mu Chunxue looked at Zhuowen in surprise. Not only Mu Chunxue, but the rest of the people on the spacetime wheel also looked puzzled. "We have entered a huge trap array. I didn't notice it just now, but now I feel that something is wrong." Zhuowen's voice was gloomy and his heart was heavy. He had just become a heavenly Dao divine array master, and his understanding of array Dao was already very deep. However, he did not notice the trap array in front of him. He only realized that something was wrong after he had completely entered the trap array. He knew that the person who set up the trap array was definitely an extremely high-level divine array master. However, Zhuowen was puzzled. Why did the master of the trap array set up a trap array to trap them? Chapter 2687. Master Yuan Hui, what? We've entered an entrapment array? Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and the others were also shocked, and the confusion in their eyes became even more intense. Their understanding of array formations was only superficial, so until now, they had not realized that they were already in an entrapment array. Zhuowen narrowed his eyes slightly, waved his sleeve, and summoned 81 beast bone array discs. After setting up a heavenly Dao level defensive array around the spacetime roulette, A powerful divine sense was born. His divine sense was much more advanced than his realm, and after sweeping around, he found a figure hiding directly below. Huh! What a powerful divine sense. You're just at the two extremities of life and death, yet you actually have such a powerful divine sense. It's really incredible. This figure also knew that he had been discovered by Zhuowen's divine sense, so he simply stopped hiding and openly appeared in front of the spacetime roulette. Zhuowen looked over and found that the figure in front of him was a bald man in a loose robe. At this moment, the bald man was looking at Zhuowen with great interest, showing great interest in Zhuowen. Master Yuan Hui. Fire Plume and Steel Plume's faces changed drastically, and they cried out in fear, their bodies trembling. Your Master Yuan Hui. Zhuowen's eyes flickered. Fire Plume and Steel Plume had mentioned Master Yuan Hui to him before. He knew that Master Yuan Hui was an eternal-level divine array master sent by the Huangji family to repair the seal, and his array Dao had reached the acme of perfection. With just the array Dao, Master Yuan Hui could easily kill a master of heaven like Zhu De. After all, the two were not in the same realm. Master Yuan Hui smiled slightly, and his eyes fell on Fire Plume and Steel Plume, and said casually, Do you know about the death of Crown Prince Huangzi? Fire Plume's pretty face turned pale, and she forced a smile. Master Yuan Hui must be joking. We haven't even met Crown Prince Huangzi, so how could we know about this? Grandmaster Yuan Hui nodded and continued, However, when I was at the place where Crown Prince Huangzi died, I extracted the auras from the two of you. When Crown Prince Huangzi died, the two of you should have been present, right? Fire Plume and Steel Plume were frightened, and they stammered, unable to speak. Master Yuan Hui's deterrence was too strong. This was a true eternal-level divine array master. Even the master of Purple Red House had to be respectful in front of Master Yuan Hui, not daring to show any neglect. This was a real big shot. To put it bluntly, such a big shot killing the two of them was no different from crushing an ant. Once Grandmaster Yuan Hui had the intention to kill them, they would definitely die without a doubt. Zhuowen's previous performance was extremely strong, but in the eyes of Fire Plume and Steel Plume, Zhuowen was far inferior to a big shot like Master Yuan Hui. Speak. With the strength of the two of you, you can't kill Huangzi. As long as you tell the truth, I won't make things difficult for the two of you, and I won't go back to the Huangji clan to spread rumors. Everything has nothing to do with you. Master Yuan Hui's voice was calm, but under this calmness, there was an unimaginable killing intent. Zhuowen looked on coldly. He wanted to see how Fire Plume and Steel Plume would answer Master Yuan Hui's questions. Sure enough, Fire Plume and Steel Plume felt their scalps go numb, but Fire Plume stubbornly said, Master Yuan Hui, we also happened to pass by after Crown Prince Huangzi fell. We don't know who killed Crown Prince Huangzi. Master Yuan Hui was still smiling, but this smile contained monstrous killing intent. The two of you have done well. Since the two of you don't know who the real murderer is, then die. As soon as Master Yuan Hui finished speaking, a huge vortex appeared above Fire Plume and Steel Plume. Immediately, the vortex's energy condensed into a huge hand that covered the sky and came crashing down towards Fire Plume and Steel Plume. At this moment, Fire Plume and Steel Plume were still on the spacetime roulette. This attack was obviously not just aimed at Fire Plume and Steel Plume. Master Yuan Hui intended to kill everyone on the spacetime roulette. Fire Plume and Steel Plume were so scared that their faces turned pale. The two of them were so scared that they didn't even dare to resist. Zhuowen looked at Fire Plume and Steel Plume and couldn't help but shake his head. Immediately, he took a step forward, clenched his right fist, and punched out fiercely. Ever since Zhuowen had advanced to the 3-star Pangu sacred body, his strength had increased exponentially. He wanted to test how powerful his 3-star Pangu sacred body was now. Boom! The fist tore through the starry sky and smashed into the vortex hand. Zhuowen groaned and retreated dozens of steps. The vortex hand collapsed into countless light spots. Master Yuan Hui, who had his hands behind his back and didn't care, suddenly let out a soft cry of surprise when he found that the vortex hand had been shattered by Zhuowen's punch. He looked at the young man in white not far away with some surprise. In his perception, the young man in white didn't have a strong aura. He was only at the two extremities of life and death. How could he have such powerful strength? Did you kill Crown Prince Huangzi? Master Yuan Hui suddenly asked. It had to be said that Master Yuan Hui's reaction was very fast. After Zhuowen showed his powerful strength, he had some guesses. Zhuowen looked at Master Yuan Hui with a grave expression. His heart was gloomy. The blow just now was obviously a casual blow from Master Yuan Hui, but it had made him so embarrassed. He knew that now that he had condensed the 3-star Pangu sacred body, there was a big gap between him and Master Yuan Hui. If they really fought, Zhuowen wouldn't be a match for Master Yuan Hui at all if he didn't use the profound meaning. Thinking of the profound meaning, Zhuowen felt bitter. Although he had advanced to the 3-star Pangu sacred body, his use of the profound meaning was still at the most basic level. Although he could use the profound meaning for a longer time, he still couldn't use it for too long. Moreover, Zhuowen also found that the power of the profound meaning increased with the advancement of his Pangu sacred body. The moment he advanced to the 3-star Pangu sacred body, he used the profound meaning again. The power was much stronger than when he was still at the 2-star Pangu sacred body. Master Yuan Hui saw that Zhuowen was silent and didn't answer his question. He frowned and was a little unhappy. In fact, he asked the question even though he already knew the answer. This young man had such powerful strength, and he was with Fire Plume and Steel Plume. He was undoubtedly the most suspicious person who killed Huangzi. Of course, he didn't think that Zhuowen was responsible for Zhu De's death. After all, Zhu De was a destiny master. Although the young man in white in front of him was somewhat extraordinary, he was still far from being able to kill a destiny master. Chapter 2688. Chapter 2688. New York clansman brat, who killed Zhu De? Master Yuan Hui continued to ask. If you let them go, I'll tell you who killed Huangzi and Zhu De. Zhuowen pointed at the spacetime roulette behind him and said calmly. Master Yuan Hui chuckled and said coldly, do you think I'm a fool? Now that you're trapped in my trap array, your life and death are in my hands. Killing you is as easy as flipping my hand. Why should I let them go? Do you really think I can't break your trap array? Zhuowen narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Master Yuan Hui was stunned and immediately laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Even a god array master of the same level would need a certain amount of time to break the trap array set up by him, an eternal grade array master. However, this white-robed youth in front of him actually dared to say that he could break his trap array. He was really laughing his head off. Master Yuan Hui could tell at a glance that this white-robed youth came from the 8 heavens domains. A guy who came from this barren land without resources was probably not even a heavenly grade array master, yet he dared to say that he could break his trap array. Zhuowen ignored Master Yuan Hui's ridicule and silently circulated the energy in his body. He immediately used the profundity of restriction he obtained from the Pangu banner, Primordial Chaos Infinity. Primordial Chaos Infinity, as the name suggested, could imprison anything. This profundity was similar to the Array Dao restriction of cultivators, but it was superior to Array Dao restriction. Moreover, Zhuowen also found that Primordial Chaos Infinity not only had the ability to imprison, but also had the ability to break restrictions. As long as it was related to restrictions, Primordial Chaos Infinity could break it. Master Yuan Hui's trap array was indeed powerful, but Zhuowen was more confident in Primordial Chaos Infinity. Primordial Chaos Infinity was the profundity of the Pangu banner. Although Primordial Chaos Infinity might not be able to completely break the array restriction, Zhuowen believed that it would not be a problem to break a small gap and let the spacetime roulette escape. Thinking of this, Zhuowen waved his right hand and the power of Primordial Chaos Infinity swept out. It turned into a purple light and landed on the edge of the trap array on the left. Master Yuan Hui saw this scene and did not stop it. However, the mocking smile on his face became even more intense. In his opinion, Zhuowen was just a joke. He wanted to see what would happen to this guy who was seriously injured by the backlash of the trap array restriction. His trap array was not an ordinary trap array. It also contained a powerful killing intent. Once a cultivator was trapped inside and tried to escape from the trap array, they would suffer a backlash from the trap array. However, what happened next made Hui's eyes too was Yuan Hui was stunned chaos infinity. He realized that the moment Zhuowen's attack landed on the edge of the trap array, the energy shield at the edge of the trap array shook violently. Then, a huge gap cracked open. Then, Zhuowen immediately controlled the space-time roulette and escaped from the gap before Master Yuan Hui could react. This guy. How did he do it? Master Yuan Hui muttered to himself after he came back to his senses. He was furious. An existence that he regarded as an ant had escaped from the trap array he had set up. This was a slap to his face. I must kill you. Master Yuan Hui's killing intent was monstrous. He immediately took a step forward and chased after the space-time roulette at an extremely fast speed. In the space-time roulette, Zhuowen's eyes were gloomy. He realized that Master Yuan Hui was constantly approaching from 100,000 miles behind him. He had already pushed the space-time roulette's speed to the limit, but he still couldn't shake off Master Yuan Hui. Instead, the distance between them was constantly being pulled closer. Zhuowen knew that he couldn't continue like this. Otherwise, Master Yuan Hui would eventually catch up to him. You guys go first. I'll hold off Master Yuan Hui. Zhuowen summoned Xiao He and let Xiao He control the space-time roulette. Before anyone could react, he had already rushed out of the space-time roulette and faced Master Yuan Hui. When everyone finally reacted, they could only vaguely see Zhuowen's back standing in the distant starry sky. Brother Zhuo is going to face Master Yuan Hui alone? Fire Plume asked worriedly. As a cultivator of the Xianmi heavenly domain, Fire Plume knew very well how terrifying Master Yuan Hui was. Even a second-step Dao validation cultivator would be extremely cautious in front of Master Yuan Hui, let alone Zhuowen. Mu Chunxue frowned slightly and remained silent. Look. Something is rushing towards us. Suddenly, Tong Chimei pointed at the distant starry sky in front of the space-time roulette. There, a light spot was rushing towards them at an incredible speed. Its speed was so fast that it shocked the world. What is that? It's so fast. Fire Plume exclaimed in surprise. Mu Chunxue also raised her head to look at the light spot. Her beautiful eyes revealed a confused look. She didn't know why, but the aura emitted by the light spot gave her a sense of familiarity. It was a very strange feeling. It's a ball of flames. It seems like there's a figure in the flames. Tong Chimei cried out in alarm when the speck of light got closer. Mu Chunxue, Fire Plume, and the others finally saw the figure in the flames clearly. Moreover, the figure was rushing towards them, which made them extremely puzzled. Whoosh! The flame landed in front of the space-time roulette. Immediately, the robust man surrounded by flames knelt on one knee and faced Mu Chunxue's direction. This lowly one, Kong Shuo, of the Phoenix people, pays his respects to Milady. There was no doubt that the beautiful woman in front of him was not only one of his clansmen, but also possessed an extremely rich Phoenix bloodline. She was extremely extraordinary. No wonder she could resonate with the ancestral land. This clansman in front of me is a true genius. If she can enter the Phoenix people's nirvana rebirth, she will be even more heaven-defying. Our Phoenix people will have hope of rising again. Thinking of this, Kongsha's reverence for Mu Chunxue grew even more. In the Eldritch Heaven domain, all the races valued bloodlines. The nobility of one's bloodline also determined one's future achievements and directly affected one's future path. Chapter 2689. Kongsha. Although Mu Chunxue didn't know the origins of the Phoenix people, she could guess that the Phoenix people had something to do with the Phoenix bloodline in her body. Moreover, from Kongsha's attitude, Mu Chunxue could also guess that the Phoenix bloodline she had awakened was extraordinary. Otherwise, Kongsha wouldn't be so respectful. Although Mu Chunxue could not see through Kongsha's specific cultivation, from the powerful aura faintly emanating from Kongsha, Mu Chunxue knew that this Kongsha in front of her must be a second-step Dao confirming expert. Mu Chunxue's eyes lit up when she thought about how her husband was facing Master Yuan Hui alone. My lord, you have an extremely powerful Phoenix bloodline in your body. It's too dangerous for you to be outside. Not only will the Xian-Mi heavenly domain's human race covet you, but if the other races in the primitive heavenly domain detect your bloodline, they won't let you go either, Kongsha said respectfully. What do you mean? Mu Chunxue asked calmly. Follow me to meet the Phoenix people. Your bloodline is so powerful. If you can obtain the power of Nirvana, you will become the new saintess of the Phoenix people. You will enjoy endless glory and become extremely powerful, Kongsha said. Mu Chunxue didn't answer Kongsha directly. Instead, she said calmly, just now, a divine array master of the human race chased after me. In order to save me, my husband blocked that divine array master alone. Now, you have to help my husband. Kongsha was stunned and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He didn't expect Mu Chunxue to have a Dao companion. Moreover, from the way she addressed him, it could be seen that Mu Chunxue valued her Dao companion very much. This made Kongsha very unhappy. In Kongsha's eyes, Mu Chunxue was bound to become the saintess of the Phoenix people. Since she was the saintess, she had to be pure. How could she have a Dao companion? If this matter were to spread to the ears of the other clans, it would be a disgrace to the Phoenix clan. However, Kongsha naturally wouldn't say this in front of Mu Chunxue. After all, once Mu Chunxue joined the Phoenix people, her status would instantly surpass his. He didn't dare to offend his future boss. However, Kongsha was already unhappy with the Dao companion mentioned by Mu Chunxue. If there was a chance, he wouldn't mind making that person suffer a little. What? You're not willing? If you don't want to, I won't force you, but I won't go to the Phoenix people either. When Mu Chunxue saw Kongsha's embarrassed expression, her beautiful eyes immediately turned cold, but her heart was a little anxious. Right now, she couldn't find a strong helper. Kongsha, who had delivered himself to her door, was obviously not weak. If she had Kongsha's help, she might be able to fight against Master Yuan Hui. Kongsha smiled bitterly and hurriedly said, "My lady, you must be joking. As long as it's your order, Kongsha naturally won't refuse. Now, please lead the way. Kongsha will go and take a look. Come with me." Mu Chunxue nodded and calmly instructed Xiao Hei to return the way they came. Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and the others stood on the deck and didn't say a word. They also knew that they couldn't interrupt. They could feel that Kongsha's aura was extremely powerful. It might not be weaker than Master Yuan Hui. They absolutely didn't dare to casually interrupt such a big shot. After all, Kongsha was polite to Mu Chunxue because Mu Chunxue had a powerful Phoenix bloodline. Otherwise, with Kongsha's strength, how could he be so polite to Mu Chunxue, who was only the heavenly Dao master? Moreover, they weren't Mu Chunxue. If they casually interrupted, Kongsha would probably immediately teach them a lesson. Zhuoan took a deep breath and put his left index and middle fingers together. Then, he suddenly hooked them up and circulated the profound meaning of forbidden, primordial chaos infinity, and blasted it behind him. Instantly, the formation disk that Master Yuan Hui had thrown out was blasted to smithereens by Zhuoan's hook. The killing formation contained within also vanished like smoke. Grandmaster Yuan Hui's eyes were overflowing with killing intent. The formations he had unleashed time and time again were actually ineffective against Zhuowen. They were all destroyed by him. This made Grandmaster Yuan Hui feel both shock and anger towards Zhuowen. He wanted nothing more than to immediately kill Zhuowen. Of course, Master Yuan Hui was also extremely puzzled. His level in the Tao of Formations was already considered high. In the Xian-Mi heavenly domain, there weren't many people who could surpass him in the Tao of Formations. It was very difficult for ordinary people to break through his formations, let alone someone like Zhuowen, who was able to shatter his formations in an instant. This was just too strange. Master Yuan Hui guessed that Zhuowen definitely had some kind of treasure that specialized in restraining formations. If he could obtain this treasure in Zhuowen's hands, Master Yuan Hui's heart couldn't help but burn. When the time came, he would be even more fearless when facing those difficult formations. This would be extremely useful for him when he entered the secret realm in the future and broke through the great formations. I have to kill this kid. Not only is his strength terrifying, but he also has this kind of method to break formations. He definitely has a huge secret. Once I kill him, all his secrets will be mine. Grandmaster Yuan Hui thought to himself. His methods had indeed become even more ferocious. Master Yuan Hui waved his sleeve and actually took out a chessboard made entirely of crystal from his small world. Master Yuan Hui formed a seal with both hands, then slapped his palms on the chessboard. An invisible ripple rapidly swept out from the chessboard. It moved extremely quickly. Zhuowen only felt a gentle breeze brush past his face. Afterwards, he became puzzled. Afterwards, he discovered that there were two lines that intersected beneath his feet. He was familiar with this intersection. It was the intersection of the lines on the chessboard. He looked around and discovered that the starry sky had formed a huge chessboard. Zhuo Wen, on the other hand, seemed to have become an insignificant chess piece on this huge chessboard. This is a life-bound god artifact that I've refined after studying it for a very long time. It's called the world of chess. In the world of chess, your life and death are no longer up to you. Master Yuan Hui hovered in the center of the chessboard. He looked down at Zhuowen indifferently, as if he was looking down on all life. Zhuowen's heart sank. Although his movements were not restricted by much as he stood on the chessboard, a layer of haze appeared in his heart. Bang! 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 As expected, a white chess piece suddenly shot out from the nearby chessboard. Instead of calling it a chess piece, Zhuowen felt like it was more like a huge, white rock. It just looked like a chess piece. Rumble. The chess piece moved extremely quickly. It shot through the air and landed above the intersection where Zhuowen stood. Afterwards, it plummeted straight down as if an invisible hand had grabbed the chess piece and wanted to land it on the intersection where Zhuowen stood. Zhuowen wanted to dodge, but he discovered that the lines on the chessboard began to light up the moment he raised his foot. Afterwards, he discovered that the lines were indestructible, revolving around Zhuowen. Chapter 2690. Predicament. Zhuowen also sensed the power and danger of these lines. In the end, he did not take a step forward. Instead, he faced the huge chess piece that was flying towards him. Zhuowen did not hesitate to unleash the power of the three-star Pangu sacred body. He punched out, and a series of explosions came from the starry sky. It was as if something powerful had exploded inside the starry sky. Boom! Zhuowen's heart sank when his fist landed on the chess piece. This was because he found that the strength of the chess piece was beyond his expectations. Seal. Zhuowen did not hesitate to use the ultimacy, Hongmeng Wuji, to seal the chess piece in mid-air. He then jumped up and landed on the chess piece. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The moment Zhuowen landed on the chess piece, other chess pieces also flew out from the other positions on the chessboard. These chess pieces were black and white, but they all had the same goal. They were all heading towards Zhuowen. Zhuowen activated Hongmeng Wuji to the extreme. The moment the chess pieces landed in front of him, they were all frozen in mid-air by his Hongmeng Wuji ultimacy. They became his stepping stones. Zhuowen also relied on these chess pieces to pave the path under his feet. The end of the path was the position of Tian Yuan, which was also where Master Yuan Hui was. Master Yuan Hui looked at Zhuowen, who was getting closer to Tian Yuan, with a look of surprise. He did not expect this guy to come up with such a way to get close to Tian Yuan. The world of chess is dominated by me. You can't get close to Tian Yuan. Master Yuan Hui shook his head and then stomped his right foot. Suddenly, the lines on the chessboard broke away and leaped into the sky. They chaotically intertwined and formed an unprecedentedly huge monster with a human face and a snake's body. Roar! The monster with a human face and a snake's body opened its huge mouth and exuded a choking stench. Master Yuan Hui sneered as he looked at Zhuowen, who was still dealing with the chess pieces around him. He did not think that Zhuowen could escape his attack. Zhuowen looked at the monster that was rushing towards him and frowned. He formed a seal with his right hand and used the ultimacy sky opening blade. The surface of his right palm turned into a blade. A faint light covered the surface of his palm. It was as if a light blade had suddenly shot out. Roar! The sky opening blade, which stood sky opening blade, landed on the head of the monster. Sky opening blade. The monster sky opening blade. The sky-opening blade. Fut. Blood, Zhuowen. Blood, his face, and his face. Using two ultimacies at the same time is his sky-opening blade. Is sky-opening translation using ultimacy. Zhuowen looked at the shocked Master Yuan Hui and used his left hand to use the ultimacy primordial infinity. He stopped the chess pieces that were rushing towards him and began to change their paths in an attempt to escape from the chessboard. Master Yuan Hui came back to his senses. When he saw that Zhuowen was trying to escape, he immediately thought of the move that Zhuowen had just used. It must have been his greatest trump card and consumed a lot of energy. Master Yuan Hui, of course, would not let Zhuowen leave. Master Yuan Hui rolled up his right sleeve. The surface of his right hand was engraved with red runes. Then, Master Yuan Hui's right hand formed a palm and slammed it on the ground. In an instant, the red runes emitted a dazzling red light. Then, the entire chessboard surged like a tsunami. The surface of the chessboard was undulating. Then, numerous chess pieces flew out and shot towards Zhuowen. When Zhuowen saw the densely packed chess pieces, his expression immediately changed. Every chess piece on the chessboard was extremely powerful. At most, Zhuowen could only deal with a dozen chess pieces at the same time. However, there were hundreds and thousands of chess pieces this time. There were too many of them. Zhuowen knew that he would not be able to deal with them all. Zhuowen sighed. He still had the powerful trump card of Hu Yi's godly arrow. He knew that as long as he shot out Hu Yi's godly arrow, he would be able to severely injure Master Yuan Hui or even kill Master Yuan Hui. However, he knew that Hu Yi's godly arrow was a single-target attack. Moreover, it took too long to charge up. If he did not lock onto Master Yuan Hui immediately, he would be in a passive position. He might even be killed by Master Yuan Hui's sneak attack. Zhuo, when using Hu Yi's god arrow to block such a large-scale attack, would be an idiotic move. Moreover, Zhuowen did not have any powerful defensive means. He could not block the attacks of so many chess pieces. At the critical moment, Zhuowen took out the escape talisman that he had plundered from Huang Zi's small world. Huang Zi was the heir of Huang Ji family. The escape talisman on him was extremely high level. Zhuowen did not understand it. He only knew that the escape talisman was very powerful. Now that he was in such a life-and-death situation, he did not hesitate to use one of the escape talismans. Bang! Zhuowen disappeared on the spot and appeared at the edge of the chessboard. However, he was blocked by the energy barrier at the edge and was sent back into the chessboard. Zhuowen's expression turned ugly. He knew that Master Yuan Hui still had a backup plan. The chessboard was a huge barrier. It was not as simple as it looked. Escape talisman? It seems like you can really kill Crown Prince Huang Zi. This escape talisman belongs to Crown Prince Huang Zi. Master Yuan Hui looked at Zhuowen, who was sent back by the chessboard barrier. He also saw the talisman that had turned to ashes in Zhuowen's hand and sneered. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Another batch of hundreds and thousands of chess pieces tore through the air and surrounded Zhuowen from all directions. They crushed towards Zhuowen again. Zhuowen felt helpless. He could only use the escape talisman again. He had obtained a total of 12 escape talismans from Huang Zi. Now that he had used 2 of them, it made his heart ache. Next, Zhuowen could only use the escape talisman again and again. Master Yuan Hui's chessboard barrier was too confining. With Zhuowen's strength, he could not break it. Master Yuan Hui also saw that Zhuowen had the ability to break the barrier. Therefore, after Zhuowen used the escape talisman, he immediately attacked to prevent Zhuowen from using the profound primordial infinity. Zhuowen was pressured by Master Yuan Hui's continuous attacks. He did not even have the time to use the profound primordial infinity. He could only crush the escape talisman in a hurry. Seeing that the escape talismans in his hand were getting fewer and fewer, Zhuowen's heart sank. When Zhuowen crushed the last escape talisman, he let out a soft sigh. He could only watch helplessly as countless chess pieces surrounded him from all directions. He decided to give it a try. He wanted to use the ultimate profound Pangu's shadow. This ultimate profound was the most powerful profound of the Pangu banner. It was said that at least the 7-star Pangu sacred body was required to use it. Otherwise, the body might not be able to withstand it and directly collapse. Boom. Chapter 2691. Big words. Zhuowen was startled and could not help but look behind him. Only then did he realize that a man surrounded by flames had landed on the edge of the chessboard like a god descending to the mortal world. It was this man who had shattered the chessboard's barrier with a single punch, indirectly saving Zhuowen's life. At the same time, Zhuowen also noticed the space-time roulette behind the man. Mu Chunxue, Fire Plume, and the others were on it. When they saw that Zhuowen was unscathed, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Master Yuan Hui frowned slightly and could not help but look at the man surrounded by flames. He felt a sense of danger from this man and could not help muttering to himself, "Eternal Overlord?" Eternal Overlord was the third stage of the second step of Dao validation. Theoretically, it was on the same level as Master Yuan Hui. After all, Master Yuan Hui was an eternal level array Dao master. However, in terms of combat strength, Master Yuan Hui was not as good as a real Eternal Overlord. After all, Eternal Overlords were cultivated and specialized in combat. They were extremely powerful. On the other hand, Eternal Level Array Dao Master mainly refined arrays, not for combat. In a one-on-one fight, Eternal Level Array Dao Master would be at a disadvantage. Therefore, Master Yuan Hui was extremely wary when he learned that the man who had suddenly appeared was an Eternal Overlord. "Your Excellency, who are you?" "I am Yuan Hui of the Huangji family. Why are you interfering in my private affairs?" Master Yuan Hui said coldly. The flaming man who had suddenly appeared was none other than the Phoenix people's powerhouse, Kongshe. Because the Phoenix people looked almost exactly the same as the human race, the only difference was the Phoenix bloodline in their bodies. Therefore, it was impossible to tell the difference between the Phoenix people and the human race. Because Master Yuan Hui had sealed the passage to the primitive heavenly realm, he subconsciously thought that the powerhouses of the primitive heavenly realm could not enter, so he did not think that Kongshe was from the primitive heavenly realm. Kongshe didn't even look at Master Yuan Hui. Instead, his attention fell on Zhuowen. He said coldly, "You are Zhuowen?" Zhuowen frowned slightly. He realized that the moment Kongshe looked at him, he felt that this person's gaze was somewhat unfriendly. Although Zhuowen felt uncomfortable with this person's gaze, this person had saved his life after all, so he still cupped his fists and thanked him politely. Kongshe sneered and ignored Zhuowen. Instead, he shifted his gaze to Master Yuan Hui. Zhuowen was baffled. He felt that this man who had suddenly appeared seemed to have a bad impression of him. Especially after this sneer, Zhuowen was somewhat speechless. He didn't seem to have done anything to make this man unhappy. Moreover, he had never seen this person before. Zhuowen stepped onto the space-time roulette. Fire Plume and Steel Plume looked at Zhuowen strangely. They never thought that Zhuowen would be able to tangle with Master Yuan Hui for so long. This was too abnormal. Zhuowen looked at Mu Chunxue and asked, "Chen Shui, who is this person?" Mu Chunxue told him everything that had happened, not hiding anything. Then, "This person is a powerhouse of the Phoenix people?" Zhuowen asked in surprise. Mu Chunxue nodded. Fire Plume quickly added, "The Phoenix people are one of the 4 Shengzon of the Great Desolate Heavenly Realm. They are one of the top 10 races in the Great Desolate Heavenly Realm and are extremely powerful." Hearing this, Zhuowen fell silent. Then he looked at Mu Chunxue and said, "Chen Shui, are you planning on going to the Phoenix people with this person?" Mu Chunxue revealed a faint smile and said, "Husband, you should be able to tell. I am too weak. Whether it is the Xianmi Heavenly Realm or the Great Desolate Heavenly Realm, I am at the lowest level of cultivation. If I don't think of ways to become stronger, I won't be able to protect the people I want to protect. I don't like this kind of powerlessness." Zhuowen gave a sigh in his heart. Actually, when he heard Mu Chunxue talk about the Phoenix people, he had already guessed that Mu Chunxue would want to go with them. This was because he could feel Mu Chunxue's desire to become stronger. It was just like Zhuowen himself. In this world where the strong preyed on the weak, He did not want to be at the bottom and did not want to be a burden to others. Husband, although my decision is a bit unfair to you. Mu Chunxue could see that Zhuowen was a bit disappointed. She wanted to explain, but she was cut off by Zhuowen. Zhuowen said with a gentle smile, Chen Shui, as long as it's your decision, I will not go against it. Actually, your decision is correct. The phoenix bloodline in your body is too strong. If you don't go back to the phoenix people and don't seek the protection of the phoenix people, your bloodline will be coveted by many people. Mu Chunxue looked at Zhuowen and her eyes misted over. She emotionally said, Husband, thank you. Zhuowen nodded. Then he looked at the master Yuan Hui and Kong Shi not far away. Zhuowen's eyes revealed killing intent as he said, Chen Shui, this master Yuan Hui must be killed, otherwise he will become a disaster. Mu Chunxue nodded. Even without Zhuowen saying this, she did not plan on letting this master Yuan Hui go. This master Yuan Hui was a member of the Huangji family and he knew that Zhuowen was a murderer. If this master Yuan Hui was allowed to go back, the Huangji family would quickly find out that this matter was done by Zhuowen. With the Huangji family's influence and Zhuowen's shallow foundation, it was impossible for him to fight against a giant like the Huangji family. Thinking of this, Mu Chunxue sent a voice transmission to Kong Shi, asking him to kill this master Yuan Hui. Kong Shi secretly glanced at Mu Chunxue behind him. At the same time, he coldly glanced at Zhuowen beside her. He knew that Mu Chunxue's request was most likely this despicable youth's suggestion. Thinking of this, Kong Shi's impression of this youth became even worse. At the same time, Kong Shi felt a headache coming on. Although he was an eternal overlord, he had just advanced not long ago. He was weaker than the average eternal overlord. Although Master Yuan Hui was not as strong as an eternal overlord, Kong Shi was only slightly stronger than this Master Yuan Hui. It would be very difficult for him to kill this Master Yuan Hui. Zhuowen also saw the difficulty in Kong Shi's eyes. He also sent a voice transmission, Brother Kong, you just need to delay this Master Yuan Hui. Leave the killing of this Master Yuan Hui to me. Kong Shi almost laughed his teeth out. Was there something wrong with this youth's head? He had just escaped danger because of him, but now he was saying that he could kill this Master Yuan Hui? Was this a joke? I say, there should be a limit to your jokes, right? Do you think I'll believe you if you say you can kill this person? Kong Shi couldn't help but mock. Zhuowen's face darkened. Kong Shi had actually directly stated his goal. Even the distant Master Yuan Hui had heard it. Fortunately, Master Yuan Hui didn't take Zhuowen's words seriously. He was mainly focused on Kong Shi. Zhuowen sighed softly. Fortunately, he hadn't exposed his Hui God arrows. If Master Yuan Hui knew he still had them, he would probably run away immediately. There was no way he would still be in a deadlock with Kong Shi. Yes, you just need to delay this Master Yuan Hui. Leave the killing of this Master Yuan Hui to me. Whether you believe it or not, your mission is to delay Master Yuan Hui. You don't need to ask about anything else, Zhuowen said calmly. Kong Shi's pupils shrank. He was extremely unhappy with Zhuowen's attitude. However, when he saw Mu Chunxue's signal, he could only snort coldly and reluctantly take action. Chapter 2692. Intent to retreat. Bang, bang, bang. Kong Shi took a step forward. Flames surged like a huge wave, and he became the master of the center of this huge wave of flames. He quickly rushed in front of Master Yuan Hui and rapidly threw out several punches. Each punch carried an extremely terrifying temperature, causing the starry sky to distort and collapse. Master Yuan Hui revealed a solemn expression. He pointed with both hands, and array flags flew out like stars, circling around Master Yuan Hui. Invisible ripples of energy undulated, resisting Kong Shi's violent attacks. The two of them fought, shaking the heavens and earth. Their auras were like dragons, and everywhere they passed, everything turned into ruins. Even the surrounding starry sky laws seemed to have been shattered by the terrifying aftershocks of their battle. Zhuowen protected Mu Chunxue, Fire Plume, and the others. He controlled the space-time roulette to retreat to a safe distance before stopping. Let's escape quickly. Master Yuan Hui isn't an ordinary eternal-level divine array master, Fire Plume hurriedly said. As for Zhuo Wen's bold declaration of wanting to kill Grandmaster Yuan Hui, Hue Yu had long since tossed it to the back of her mind. In her opinion, Zhuo Wen was just boasting. Zhuowen shook his head and said, "Later, Master Yuan Hui will be a disaster if we let him go. We must kill him here." Fire Plume and Steel Plume were shocked. They had always thought that Zhuowen was just joking. They didn't expect that this guy really intended to kill Master Yuan Hui. However, although they thought that Zhuowen's strength was extraordinary, the gap between him and an eternal overlord was too great. They didn't think that Zhuowen had the strength to kill an eternal overlord. One must know that even the terrifyingly powerful Kong Shi was only barely able to suppress Grandmaster Yuan Hui. It was simply wishful thinking for him to kill Grandmaster Yuan Hui. Brother Zhuo, it's not that I don't believe you, but Master Yuan Hui is an eternal-level god formation master after all. He's not an ordinary cat or dog. You. Steel Plume frowned. Zhuowen smiled and did not answer Steel Plume. Instead, he took out Hu Yi's divine arrow. Everyone looked at the Hu Yi divine arrow Zhuowen had taken out in puzzlement. The Hu Yi divine arrow was an ordinary horn of some strange beast. The only thing that surprised them was that the bloodstains on the surface of the horn seemed to be unusual. Could it be that Zhuowen was planning to use this ordinary horn to kill Master Yuan Hui? Thinking of this, Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and the others shook their heads secretly. They felt that Zhuowen was a little too confident in the horn. Not far away, Kong Shi and Master Yuan Hui, who were originally fighting, naturally noticed Zhuowen's actions. When they realized that Zhuowen had only taken out a very ordinary horn, Master Yuan Hui sneered disdainfully. Kong Shi's eyes were filled with killing intent. In his opinion, Zhuowen was simply toying with him. This kid definitely can't kill Grandmaster Yuan Hui. Once this battle is over, I'll use this as an excuse to teach this kid who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth a good lesson. Kong Shi thought coldly in his heart. But soon, the expressions of Kong Shi and Master Yuan Hui, who were originally looking down on Lin Fan, changed. This was because they felt a terrifying killing intent that they had never felt before. This killing intent was simply too terrifying. Even at their current cultivation level, they still felt their hearts tremble. They could not help but tremble in fear. What a terrifying killing intent. This killing intent is coming from Zhuo Wen's side. Kong Shi's pupils shrank to the size of needles. After he focused his attention on Zhuowen behind him again, his attention was immediately attracted by the ordinary horn in Zhuowen's hand. This was because he realized that the originally ordinary horn was actually releasing a terrifying killing intent that made him tremble in fear. If the horn was just an ordinary horn before, then this horn was now a peerless monster with a terrifying power that was gradually awakening. Master Yuan Hui was also shocked. He looked at the blood-stained horn in Zhuowen's hand in disbelief, and his heart sank. Just the killing intent alone was enough to make him feel like he was facing the threat of death. Moreover, the killing intent was still increasing in strength. Clearly, if the killing intent reached its peak and shot out, it was very difficult for him to imagine whether he would be able to dodge it. Let's go. After feeling such a terrifying killing intent, Grandmaster Yuan Hui no longer intended to continue entangling with Kong Shi. He knew that if this continued, then he might really be left behind here for good. Kong Shi, keep Master Yuan Hui busy. At this moment, Zhuowen mobilized the energy within him. At the same time, he used the Devourer King's devouring ability to devour the energy of the special-grade origin crystals in the miniature world and feed it back to Hu Yi's arrow. Zhuowen smiled bitterly to himself as he watched the energy in the vein of special-grade heavenly Dao origin crystals dwindle. Hu Yi's god arrow was truly a glutton. Just a single arrow could consume such a terrifying amount of energy. At the same time, Zhuowen sensed that Master Yuan Hui was about to flee, so he hurriedly warned Kong Shi. Hu Yi's arrow had just been released and it was still a little far from Master Yuan Hui. It would probably take some time for the killing intent to completely lock onto Master Yuan Hui. As long as the terrifying killing intent of Hu Yi's arrow locked onto Master Yuan Hui, Master Yuan Hui wouldn't be able to escape from Hu Yi's arrow no matter where he went. Kongsha gave Zhuo Wen a deep look. He was also shocked in his heart. This kid actually had such a terrifying killing weapon. Now that he received Zhuo Wen's warning, he knew that this was a rare opportunity. Flames erupted from his body and a huge phoenix phantom formed behind him. Kongsha's strength increased by a lot. Master Yuan Hui couldn't help but curse when he saw Kongsha erupt with all his strength to keep him busy. His fighting strength was originally slightly weaker than ordinary Eternal Lords. Now that Kongsha had unleashed the power of his bloodline, the situation was extremely bad for Master Yuan Hui. I have to run. Master Yuan Hui had a premonition that if he waited for Zhuo Wen to release his Hu Yi divine arrow, it would be impossible for him to escape even if he wanted to. Therefore, now was the best time to escape. Chapter 2693. Killing Yuan Hui. Bang, bang, bang. Kongsha's fists were like a storm. His body was surrounded by an incomparably large phantom of a phoenix. However, the more Kongsha attacked, the more shocked he became. The blood-red barrier formed by Master Yuan Hui was too powerful. Moreover, there seemed to be no end to the blood-red chess pieces that flew out from it. They flew towards Kongsha in an unending stream and bombarded him. Even though Kongsha had unleashed all of his bloodline power, he still ended up running for his life under the endless attacks of the blood-red chess pieces. Explode! Master Yuan Hui's eyes shone with cold light and killing intent. Immediately, he formed a seal with both hands and spat out another mouthful of blood essence, sprinkling it on the barrier. Instantly, the blood-red barrier seemed to have been touched by some kind of taboo. It actually began to surge violently. Then, it began to compress continuously. As it continued to compress, the pressure within the barrier increased by hundreds and thousands. Kongsha, who was within the barrier, was affected by the pressure and his movements became sluggish. He was deeply affected. This guy, Kongsha's heart sank. He finally felt the terror of the barrier. He regretted not dodging when Master Yuan Hui used the barrier. If he had dodged, the barrier would be nothing to him. Boom, boom, boom. When the blood-red barrier was compressed to the extreme, it suddenly exploded. The terrifying explosive energy surged out and spread in all directions like rolling waves. Kongsha, who was at the center of the explosion, was drowned by the explosion. At the moment when the blood-red barrier exploded, Master Yuan Hui looked at Zhuo Wen, who was still accumulating power not far away. His eyes flashed and his killing intent exploded. He was weighing the pros and cons. Now that Kongsha was restrained by his barrier, should he escape or should he completely kill Zhuo Wen? Thinking of the terror of the blood-stained horn in Zhuo Wen's hand, Master Yuan Hui felt a surge of greed in his heart. Even he was tempted by such a powerful weapon. A ferocious creature like this will definitely need to accumulate power for a long time. This child is still accumulating power. As long as I kill him while he is accumulating power, all of his secrets will be mine. At that time, this ferocious creature will also become mine. In the end, Master Yuan Hui's greed overcame his rationality. He didn't understand how terrifying Hu Yi's divine arrow was, so he was hoping for a fluke. Whoosh! Master Yuan Hui made up his mind and immediately put it into action. He turned into a shadow and shot out, heading straight for Zhuo Wen. Brother Zhuo, be careful. Seeing Master Yuan Hui rush over, Fire Plume, Mu Chunxue, and the others all looked worried. Fire Plume even warned them. It's fine, Zhuo Wen said. His eyes shone brightly as he watched Master Yuan Hui get closer and closer. After Master Yuan Hui detonated the barrier and restrained Kongsha, Zhuo Wen was somewhat worried that Master Yuan Hui would leave. After all, he hadn't finished accumulating power, but he was actually very close. If Master Yuan Hui had decisively left, Zhuo Wen knew that his accumulation of power this time would have been in vain, because the killing intent of the Hu Yi's divine arrow hadn't completely locked onto Master Yuan Hui. But now, Master Yuan Hui was actually planning to kill him. This was for the best. At least Zhuo Wen still had time to shoot the Hu Yi's divine arrow. Once it was shot, Master Yuan Hui would at least be seriously injured. When Master Yuan Hui was only a few feet away from Zhuoan, the killing intent of the Hu Yi's divine arrow rose to another level. Then, it surged out like a tidal wave and suddenly locked onto Master Yuan Hui. Master Yuan Hui's heart trembled. He could feel the terrifying killing intent pouring down on him, causing him to involuntarily feel fear. Although he didn't know what was going on, he could guess that it definitely wasn't anything good. However, he was too close to Zhuoan right now, so he simply ignored the terrifying feeling. Instead, he sent out several formation flags into his right hand and viciously smashed them onto Zhuoan's head. He wanted to kill this kid with a single strike. Master Yuan Hui sneered as he looked at Zhuoan. He wanted to see the despair on Zhuoan's face. But very soon, Master Yuan Hui felt that something was wrong. This was because he didn't see any fear or despair on Zhuoan's face. Zhuoan seemed very calm. There was actually a trace of mockery in his eyes that should have been filled with despair. This trace of mockery was like a nail that was hammered into Master Yuan Hui's heart, causing Master Yuan Hui to feel extremely displeased. "You're about to die, yet you're still pretending to be calm," Master Yuan Hui mocked. Zhuoan smiled and didn't move. However, the mockery in his eyes became even stronger. Poochie. The instant Master Yuan Hui's attack was about to land on Zhuoan, Master Yuan Hui heard the sound of an arrow leaving the bowstring. Then, he felt a heart-wrenching pain from his chest. Then, Master Yuan Hui felt his body become light as a feather. Zhuoan, who was originally very close to him, was actually moving away from him. But very soon, he discovered that Zhuoan wasn't moving at all. Instead, he was retreating at a rapid pace. He lowered his head and looked at his chest. To his shock, he discovered that there was a huge wound on his chest. In this wound, a blood-stained horn had almost completely sunk into his chest. How is this possible? Just a little bit more, and I would have been able to kill this bastard. Master Yuan Hui only managed to utter these words before the terrifying power of Hu Yi's arrow tore his entire body apart. Zhuoan stood where he was, his face slightly pale. Looking at the torn Master Yuan Hui, he let out a soft sigh of relief. Thinking back to the sorry state he was in when he first fired Hu Yi's arrow, Zhuoan could be said to have improved tremendously. At the very least, he was able to stand firmly on the spot and not be sent flying by the terrifying recoil of Hu Yi's arrow. But even so, Zhuoan still felt weak, as if his body had been emptied. After taking out dozens of special-grade Heavenly Dao origin crystals and absorbing them all, Zhuoan finally felt the weakness in his body lessen significantly. Only then did he slowly walk over to where Master Yuan Hui had been torn apart. Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and even Mu Chunxue and the others all looked at this scene in shock. Chapter 2694. Kongsha was horrified. After putting away the Hu Yi divine arrow, Zhuoan searched for the scene where Master Yuan Hui was torn apart. Although he knew that with the power of the Hu Yi divine arrow, Master Yuan Hui's spirit ring would definitely be shattered, he still felt lucky. After all, Master Yuan Hui was not an ordinary person. Hey! What's this? Soon, Zhuoan found a piece of golden platinum paper as thin as a cicada's wing. He knew that this golden platinum paper should belong to Master Yuan Hui. Since it was not destroyed by the terrifying power of the Hu Yi divine arrow, it could be seen that this golden platinum paper was not an ordinary thing. Zhuoan probed it with his spiritual sense and found that there was something recorded on this golden platinum paper. After casually browsing through it, he showed a look of surprise. This was because the golden platinum paper recorded a kind of array Dao inheritance. It was said that this array Dao inheritance could help a divine array master cultivate to the third step of Dao confirmation. Grandmaster Yuan Hui obtained this golden platinum paper, which was why his attainments in the Dao of arrays improved so quickly. In less than 1,000 years, he became an eternal level array Dao master and was hired by the Huangji family as a royal array Dao master. Zhuoan had just become a heavenly Dao divine array master, so the inheritance in this golden platinum paper was very important to him. Where's Master Yuan Hui? Did he escape? After putting away the golden platinum paper, Kongsha walked out of the exploded boundary in a sorry state. The self-destruction of Grandmaster Yuan Hui's blood-colored barrier was simply too powerful. Even though Kong Shi had unleashed all of his bloodline power, he had still sustained extremely serious injuries. Now that Kong Shi barely survived the explosion and did not see Master Yuan Hui, he could not help but ask curiously. Although Kong Shi asked this question, his tone was extremely tough. Obviously, he thought that Master Yuan Hui must have escaped. Master Yuan Hui was shot to death by me, Zhuowen said coldly. Kong Shi's pupils shrank, but he fell into a rare silence. Although he didn't believe Zhuowen's words, he calmed down and sensed for a moment. He really did feel that Master Yuan Hui's aura had completely disappeared and was replaced by a terrifying killing aura. Kong Sai was no stranger to this murderous aura. It was the aura of the blood-stained horn that Zhuowen had taken out earlier. He knew that Master Yuan Hui must have been killed by the blood-stained horn. Kong Shi felt shocked. He couldn't imagine what the blood-stained horn was, and how it could kill an eternal level array formation master like Master Yuan Hui with a single arrow. If Zhuowen shot the same arrow at him, would he be able to block it? Zhuowen ignored the absent-minded Kong Shi and landed on the space-time roulette. He looked at Kong Shi and said, "Since you are from the Phoenix people, you should be from the primitive heavenly realm, right? How did you enter the 8 heavens?" Kong Shi came back to his senses, looked at Zhuowen, and said strangely, "Don't you know that the passage between the primitive heavenly realm and the 8 heavens has been opened?" Zhuowen's pupils shrank, and he said, "Who broke it? Was it an almighty of the primitive heavenly realm?" Zhuowen's heart sank. He didn't expect the seal of the primitive heavenly realm to be broken so quickly. The 8 heavens would no longer have peace. In addition, Donghuang Tai was eyeing the 8 heavens covetously. The 8 heavens would soon face an unprecedented disaster. Although Zhuowen wanted to help the 8 heavens, he also knew that his strength was limited. If he went to the 8 heavens now, he would be courting death. All he could do now was to protect his family, friends, and lovers. Kong Shi shook his head. "The seal of your 8 great heavens is extremely powerful. It is basically impossible to break it from the other side of the great desolate heaven realm. It was an existence from your 8 great heavens that opened the seal. As for who it was, I am not sure." Zhuowen gnashed his teeth in anger. He had already guessed who it was. It must be that green-haired mummy. After tricking him in the land of origin, it was impossible for this mummy to go to the Xian Mi heavenly realm. After all, the Xian Mi heavenly realm was the world of the human race. That green-haired mummy was obviously not a human. Going to the Xian Mi heavenly realm was just courting death. Therefore, if the green-haired mummy wanted to leave the 8 heavens, it would definitely go to the primitive heavenly realm, which accommodated all races. However, what Zhuowen didn't expect was that the green-haired mummy was so ruthless. Not only did it release the almighty of the demon race, Donghuang Tai, but it also broke the seal of the primitive heavenly realm. It was a complete mess. However, Zhuowen also felt a little helpless. The green-haired mummy's body was extremely powerful. Even if Zhuowen had the 3-star Pangu sacred body, he didn't have the confidence to fight it head-on. Moreover, the green-haired mummy was able to break the seal of the primitive heavenly realm. It could be seen that this fellow relied on the energy of the demon pearl to recover a lot of its strength. Taking a step back, the green-haired mummy had already gone to the primitive heavenly realm. Although Zhuowen didn't like the green-haired mummy, he knew that he couldn't find this fellow to take revenge on. "If Chen Shui goes to the Phoenix people with you, how will the Phoenix people treat Chen Shui?" Zhuowen asked coldly. Kong Shi coldly snorted and said, "Lady Chen Shui's bloodline is extremely powerful. It even resonated with the Phoenix people's ancestral land. You have to know that those who can resonate with the ancestral land are all earth-shattering super powerhouses in the history of the Phoenix people. Lady Chen Shui's future is limitless. If she goes to the Phoenix people, she will have the chance to become our clan's saintess." Hearing this, Zhuowen nodded. He could see that Kong Shi was indeed very respectful and submissive to Mu Chunxue. It seemed that the Phoenix bloodline in Mu Chunxue's body was indeed not ordinary. After Kong Shi finished speaking, he ignored Zhuowen and knelt on one knee in front of Mu Chunxue. He said, "Lady Chen Shui, Kongsha is here to bring you back. You also know that with your powerful bloodline, it's too dangerous outside. Under the premise that you're not strong enough, it's best for you to come back with me. Mu Chunxue originally wanted to go to the Phoenix people with Kongsha. She also felt that her strength was indeed a little weak. Especially after seeing Zhuowen's powerful battle strength, Mu Chunxue was even more determined to become stronger. She did not want to be a burden to Zhuowen in the future. She wanted to help Zhuowen and walk side by side with him. Mu Chunxue nodded in agreement. Kongsha's heart was filled with joy. Husband, you've offended the Huangji family and Impermanence Palace. Do you want to go to the Great Desolate Realm with me? Since the Phoenix people are a large clan in the Great Desolate Realm, they will definitely protect you. Mu Chunxue looked at Zhuowen with a worried gaze as she spoke. Zhuowen shook his head and said, Chen Shui, you should understand my personality. I'm not the kind of person who likes to rely on others. Even if it's my own woman, I won't allow it. Mu Chunxue revealed a faint smile as she carefully looked at Zhuowen. She understood Zhuowen better than anyone else. The reason why she said this was for Kongsha to hear. She wanted Kongsha to know that this youth in front of him had a very high position in Mu Chunxue's heart. As expected, Kongsha's expression was not good and he was also feeling a little distressed. If those old fellows in the clan knew that the Phoenix people's saintess already had a Dao companion, wouldn't they go crazy from anger? Chapter 2695. Three clan elders. Mu Chunxue chatted with Zhuowen for a while, but her beautiful eyes were filled with reluctance. Zhuowen was the same, but he always respected his wife's decision and would not make a decision for Chen Shui. Sir Chen Shui, you should go. The passage to the Great Desolate Realm has already been opened and there are more and more life forms from the Great Desolate Realm entering the Eight Heavens. I'm afraid we'll meet experts from other clans. Kongsha said. At the same time, his communication jade talisman lit up with a dazzling light. Kongsha looked it over and revealed a look of pleasant surprise. Kongsha, what is it? Mu Chunxue saw Kongsha reveal a look of pleasant surprise, so she couldn't help asking this. Kongsha said in a pleasantly surprised voice, Sir Chen Shui, the Phoenix people's third clan elder has personally brought elites to welcome you. He knows that you're returning to the Phoenix people and is very excited, so he's urging me to bring you over. Although Mu Chunxue did not know who the third clan elder was, seeing Kongsha reveal a look of or when he mentioned the third clan elder, she knew that the third clan elder was an important person of the Phoenix people. Husband. I should go. Mu Chunxue held Zhuowen's hand and said with a sigh. Zhuowen gave a sigh in his heart. He let go of Mu Chunxue's jade-like hand and said with a smile, Chen Shui, go. Remember to take care of yourself when you go there. Also, if anyone bullies you and I find out, I will beat them up until their parents can't recognize them. Mu Chunxue gave a laugh, but her beautiful eyes were filled with emotions. She gently hugged Zhuowen and kissed Zhuowen's forehead before leaving like a butterfly. Zhuowen looked at the beautiful figure that was taken away by Kongsha and felt a sense of loss in his heart. However, he quickly calmed down. I'll send you to Heavenly Moat, we'll part ways there. Zhuowen turned to look at Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and Tong Chimei as he spoke with a smile. The three of them naturally did not have any objections and did not ask why Zhuowen was staying. In the cold and dark space, a terrifying stream of fire shot out. Everywhere it passed, everything was incinerated into nothingness. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that there were actually more than 10 figures floating within the flaming light. The auras of these dozen figures were extremely vast and terrifying. At this moment, there were already quite a number of living beings from the Desolation Heaven within the Eight Heavens. These creatures of the Great Desolate Heaven realm were like evil spirits. Wherever they passed, they would cause inhumane slaughter and destruction. When the flaming light swept past, the creatures of the prehistoric heavenly realm all trembled and subconsciously dodged the flaming light that cut through the starry sky. This aura. Could it be a powerhouse from the Phoenix people? The aura standing at the front is so strong. I think I've seen him somewhere before. Oh right, that's the third elder of the Phoenix people. He has a high position and authority. Why did he come to the Eight Heavens? Even the three elders have been mobilized. Could it be that something major has happened in the 8 heavens? Some of the creatures of the great desolate heaven realm recognized the flaming light, and their eyes revealed looks of fear and reverence. The Phoenix people were deeply rooted in the great desolate heaven realm. They were one of the top 10 races and were extremely powerful. The 3 clan elders were even more so the powerful experts of the older generation of the Phoenix people. They would not easily come out, but now that they had come to the 8 heavens, many of the creatures of the great desolate heaven realm were puzzled. At the front of the flaming light was an old man wearing a fiery red robe. His eyes were like fire, and he held a flaming scepter in his hand. His body unconsciously exuded a powerful and dignified aura. This was the 3rd elder of the Phoenix people. He was a true existence at the level of an old monster. The 3 clan elders' eyes narrowed as they revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He looked to the front, where a streak of fiery light was quickly flying over and finally stopping in front of the 3 clan elders. Kongsha greets the 3 clan elders. Kongsha, who was wearing a flaming armor, knelt on one knee on the ground and bowed respectfully to the 3 clan elders. The 3 clan elders nodded slightly, but their eyes fell on the slim and graceful woman behind Kongsha. He could clearly feel that the woman's bloodline was extremely powerful. It was far more powerful than all the juniors of the Phoenix people he had seen before. He knew that the one who had resonated with the ancestral land of the Phoenix people should be this beautiful woman in front of him. "Little girl, what's your name?" The 3 clan elders' stern eyes gradually softened as he looked at the woman behind Kongsha and asked gently. Kongsha heard the 3 clan elders' voice become so gentle. He knew that the 3 clan elders were very satisfied with Mu Chunshue, who he had brought with him. One had to know that the 3 clan elders did not smile easily. However, they showed such a gentle smile to Mu Chunshue, who they had just met for the first time. It was obvious that the 3 clan elders valued Mu Chunshue greatly. At the same time, Kongsha was also very happy. He knew that he had done a great service to the Phoenix people by finding Mu Chunshue. When he returned to the Phoenix people, he would definitely be rewarded generously. Mu Chunshue cupped her fists and said in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing, "Senior, my name is Mu Chunshue." The 3 clan elders nodded and said indifferently, "You have a powerful Phoenix bloodline, which should be related to fire. However, your name has the word snow in it. This name is not good. From now on, you will be called Mu Chenyang." Mu Chunshue frowned slightly and said calmly, "This name was given to me by my mother. I will not change my name easily. If Senior thinks that my name is not good, you can refuse to let me join the Phoenix people." Kongsha's heart trembled when he heard this. Previously, he had repeatedly instructed that he was meeting the 3 clan elders. Among the Phoenix people, they were one of the 3 most powerful existences. He could not be careless. Now, Mu Chunshue actually contradicted the 3 clan elders in front of them for the sake of a name. Was she courting death? Even the dozen or so Phoenix tribe powerhouses behind the 3 clan elders began to discuss among themselves. They felt that this woman did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. The 3 clan elders narrowed their eyes and looked deeply at Mu Chunshue. In the end, they nodded and said, "All right. Since this is your decision, then you don't have to change your name." Kongsha looked at the 3 clan elders in surprise. He did not expect the 3 clan elders to be so good-tempered now. They actually agreed to Mu Chunshue's request so easily. However, he also knew that this did not mean that the 3 clan elders' temper had improved. This was entirely because the phoenix bloodline in Mu Chunshue's body was too powerful. The 3 clan elders had no choice but to treat her seriously. "Child, come here for a moment. Let me test your bloodline." The 3 clan elders waved their hands. Mu Chunshue hesitated for a moment, but still came to the 3 clan elders' side. The 3 clan elders stretched out their withered palms, then formed sword fingers and gently tapped the space between Mu Chunshue's eyebrows. Instantly, a phoenix symbol appeared between Mu Chunshue's eyebrows. Moreover, this phoenix symbol even let out a clear phoenix cry that pierced through gold and cracked stone, reaching the 9 heavens. Chapter 2696. 99 Phoenix body. The blazing temperature actually dispersed the flaming light around the 3 clan elders and the others. Other than the 3 clan elders, the dozen or so people behind them all involuntarily retreated as they looked at the beautiful woman in front of the 3 clan elders in shock. At this moment, Mu Chunxue was surrounded by countless flames and magma. The terrifying magma actually formed phoenix phantoms one after another, and a total of 99 phoenix phantoms appeared above Mu Chunxue's head. The 99 phoenix phantoms let out overlapping phoenix cries. That sound actually resounded through the entire 8 heavenly realms, attracting the attention of countless living beings. It's actually the 99 phoenix body. It seems like the heavens are blessing us phoenix people. After countless years, a second person with the 99 phoenix body has actually appeared. The 3 clan elders laughed loudly, their voices filled with excitement. The dozen or so experts brought by the 3 clan elders all bowed and kowtowed as they looked at the 99 phoenix phantoms that had appeared behind Mu Chunxue in the starry sky, their eyes filled with reverence. The 99 phoenix body was a legendary physique among the phoenix people. It was said that the ancestors of the phoenix people possessed the 99 phoenix body and were invincible throughout the world. In the end, they created one of the 10 great races, the phoenix people. Now that the 99 phoenix body had appeared among the phoenix people, they knew that the phoenix people would regain the glory of their ancestors in the future. They might even be able to compete with the witch clan that ruled the great desolate heaven realm. Right now, these phoenix people did not look down on Mu Chunxue at all. Rather, they were filled with fanatical reverence. They were very clear that the woman in front of them was the future hope of the phoenix people. Chen Shui, from today onwards, you are the holy maiden of the phoenix people. Your status is only below the 3 clan elders, haha. The 3 clan elders laughed as they looked at Mu Chunxue in front of them with great satisfaction. The 99 phoenix body. The 3 clan elders couldn't help but be excited. As long as Mu Chunxue grew up, it would only be a matter of time before she surpassed the 3 clan elders of their clan. Then, it would be even easier for her to reach the 3rd step of the Tao-confirming realm. Although Mu Chunxue was puzzled, she knew that her body constitution was special and important to the phoenix people. However, this was exactly what she wanted. She joined the phoenix people in order to become stronger. Now that she had such a strong physique, it was naturally the best for her. Chen Shui, let's go back to the phoenix people, the 3 clan elders said while laughing. Mu Chunxue nodded. Then, the 3 elders waved their sleeves, and a stream of flame wrapped around Mu Chunxue. Then, they brought the group of people and left the place in an instant. Mu Chunxue looked at the dozen or so people in the flaming light, but she didn't see Kongshe. She asked in surprise, "Elder, where is Kongshe?" The 3 clan elders said with a smile, "Kongshe. He came to the 8 heavens on a mission. He hasn't finished his mission yet, so he's staying in the 8 heavens for now." Mu Chunxue nodded. She didn't think too much about it, but she didn't see the sinister look in the 3 clan elders' eyes. Just now, after he guided the 99 phoenix body out of Mu Chunxue's body, he discovered that Mu Chunxue was no longer a virgin. This made the 3 clan elders very angry. Mu Chunxue was now the phoenix people's sacred maiden. She should have been as pure as ice, but someone had taken her virginity. The 3 clan elders couldn't accept this. However, the 3 clan elders didn't say anything to Mu Chunxue, nor did they get angry at Mu Chunxue. He knew that Mu Chunxue wasn't born in the phoenix people. To be honest, the phoenix people were the ones who had let Mu Chunxue down. This matter couldn't be blamed on Mu Chunxue. Therefore, he immediately transmitted his voice to Kongshe. He wanted to ask if Kongshe knew if Mu Chunxue had a Tao companion. If she did, the 3 clan elders felt that Mu Chunxue's Tao companion deserved to die. After all, Mu Chunxue was the phoenix people's sacred maiden. If others found out that the dignified phoenix people's sacred maiden had a Tao companion, it would be a humiliation to the phoenix people. Especially when the 3 clan elders heard that Mu Chunxue's Tao companion was a piece of trash in the life and death boundary. This made the 3 clan elders even more disinterested in Mu Chunxue's Tao companion. So, he casually ordered Kongshe to kill Zhuoan before returning to the phoenix people. Kongsha watched as the flames disappeared into the distance. He licked his lips with his scarlet tongue and said with a cold laugh, "That little bastard Zhuoan, what ability did he have to dare become Lady Chen Shui's Dao companion? This kind of person should go to hell. Furthermore, the blood-stained horn on this bastard's body is also an incredible treasure. If I can obtain that treasure, I'm afraid that my strength will rise to another level. My status may even be on par with the 3 great clan elders." Kongsha laughed as he flew into the starry sky. In fact, even if the 3 clan elders hadn't noticed that Mu Chunxue wasn't a virgin, Kongsha would have told them about Zhuowen's existence. Of course, Kongsha did not specifically mention that Zhuowen possessed a peerless ominous object and that Zhuowen relied on this peerless ominous object to kill an eternal rank god array master. Because he had taken a fancy to that peerless monster. Once the 3 clan elders knew about it, Kongsha knew that it would be impossible for him to take that treasure for himself. Of course, Kongsha also knew how terrifying that peerless monster was. If Zhuowen had shot that arrow, he would have died without a doubt. However, in the battle with Master Yuan Hui, he had seen through the limitations of Zhuowen's use of that peerless monster. Because this kid needed some time to accumulate power. Without that time, this kid wouldn't have been able to shoot that arrow. As long as he acted decisively and killed that little bastard without giving him a chance to shoot that arrow, he knew that he would definitely be able to kill that little bastard. Zhuowen stopped in front of a huge natural moat. Looking at this huge and dangerous place that was completely different from the surrounding starry sky, his heart was filled with shock. Is this the natural moat? Zhuowen looked at the natural moat in front of him in shock and couldn't help muttering to himself. Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and Tong Chimay walked down from the space-time roulette. Fire Plume said softly, "Yes, this is the natural moat. Not only is there a natural and terrifying gravity here, but there are also many terrifying strange beasts. Because these strange beasts live in the harsh environment of the natural moat, their strength is monstrous. With the help of the natural moat's terrain, they are like fish in water. For cultivators crossing the natural moat, these strange beasts are the most troublesome obstacles." Zhuowen nodded. Just from the periphery of the natural moat, Zhuowen could feel that this natural moat was unusual and terrifying. "Brother Zhuo, are you really not going to come with us to Xian Mi Heavenly Domain now?" Fire Plume tried to persuade him. Zhuowen shook his head and said, "I have made up my mind. I do have some things that I need to do, so I don't plan to go to Xian Mi Heavenly Domain now. Once I'm done, I will go to Xian Mi Heavenly Domain and pay a visit to Purple Red Chamber. As for junior sister Chimay, I'll leave it to you." Fire Plume said solemnly, "Don't worry, our Purple Red Chamber will not mistreat junior sister Chimay. Also, this is the route map of Purple Red Chamber. If you really come to Xian Mi Heavenly Domain, you can follow this route to Purple Red Chamber. We will definitely treat you well. Thank you." Zhuowen put away the route map and cupped his fists. His voice was filled with gratitude. Chapter 2697. Murderous intent. The world in the Devourer King's body is beginning to take shape. Although it's a little far from the macro world, it still contains certain rules. I'll move the Riker people into my internal world first. Zhuowen muttered to himself. He then controlled the spacetime roulette and moved all the Riker people in the various spacetimes into his internal world. After doing all this, Zhuowen took out the 3 spacetime keys. I can't sense the location of the spacetime temple in the extraterritorial starry sky. It seems that I'll have to make a trip back to the 8 heavens. Zhuowen was about to combine the 3 spacetime keys and teleport into the spacetime temple when he realized that it didn't work in the extraterritorial starry sky. He knew that it was because he was in the extraterritorial starry sky. When Zhuowen arrived at the Brahma domain in the spacetime roulette and was about to take out the 3 spacetime keys again, he felt a strong sense of danger. Then, Zhuowen threw a punch behind him without hesitation. The power of the 3 stars Pangu sacred body poured out in torrents. Puff! Zhuowen could only feel a terrifying heat radiating from his fist. Soon after, he was sent flying by the terrifying force behind him. His right hand was fractured by the terrifying force. The instant Zhuo Wen was sent flying, Zhuo Wen immediately sensed the power pursuing him. It caught up to him once again. Clearly, it planned to completely destroy him in one go. Zhuo Wen's heart sank. He felt that the power was very familiar. Profound creation, mysterious light. Zhuo Wen used the profound creation mysterious light without hesitation. The profound creation mysterious light was different from the sky-splitting blade and the Hong Meng Wuji. It focused on defense and had a terrifying defensive power. The creation mysterious light wrapped around Zhuo Wen's body and turned into a strong defense. Then, the force arrived as expected and blasted on Zhuo Wen's body. The terrifying force caused Zhuo Wen to groan. Fortunately, he managed to block the second wave of attack. Zhuo Wen reacted very quickly. After dodging the second wave of attacks, he immediately retreated like a flying shuttle, fleeing far away as he looked at the muscular man in the flame armor. Kongsha. Zhuo Wen's heart sank. The moment this person attacked him, he had already guessed that it was Kongsha. He couldn't understand why Kongsha would attack him. He could tell that Kongsha's attack was definitely a killing move. If Zhuo Wen had not used the mysterious light of creation in time, he would have been blasted into pieces even though his Pangu sacred body was very strong. After all, Kongsha was an eternal overlord. He was so strong that Zhuo Wen was no match for him. It could be said that apart from the Huyi divine arrow, Zhuo Wen had nothing that could threaten an eternal overlord like Kongsha. Kongsha looked at Zhuo Wen with some surprise. He didn't expect that the latter would only be injured under his sneak attack and not die. It seemed that this person was really not simple. This made Kongsha want to kill Zhuo Wen even more. Why? Zhuo Wen asked coldly. He didn't seem to have a life-and-death feud with Kongsha. Kongsha had no reason to kill him. Kongsha grinned and said, "Because you are Lord Chen Shui's cultivation companion. The three elders have officially appointed Lord Chen Shui as the saintess of the Phoenix people. Her status is high and the saintess is not allowed to have a cultivation companion. Therefore, you must die." You mean to say that the three elders gave the order to kill me? Zhuo Wen's eyes were cold. Zhuo Wen had never seen the three elders, but this old man actually gave the order to kill him. This made Zhuo Wen burn with anger. You can say that. Of course, part of it is because of me. You should hand over that blood-stained horn. As long as you are satisfied, why can't I spare your dog life? Kongsha said arrogantly. Zhuo Wen sneered and said, "So that's your main reason for killing me. Looking at your expression, you didn't tell the three elders about this thing on me." Zhuo Wen quickly figured out the connection. It was the three elders who gave the order to kill him, but it should also be Kongsha's instigation. Moreover, Kongsha definitely didn't tell anyone about the Huyi divine arrow. Otherwise, the three elders wouldn't have just sent Kongsha to kill him. They would have come in person. After all, his cultivation wasn't high, but he could kill an eternal overlord with the Huyi divine arrow. Anyone who wasn't a fool could see that the Huyi divine arrow was extraordinary. Thinking of this, Zhuo Wen also knew that it was a wrong decision to reveal the Huyi divine arrow in front of Kongsha. The power of the Huyi divine arrow was too terrifying, and his strength wasn't particularly strong. It was inevitable that Kongsha would covet it. If he used the Huyi divine arrow again in the future, he would have to be careful. Otherwise, if he encountered something like today, it would be really bad. Sure enough, after hearing Zhuo Wen's words, Kongsha's eyes turned cold and said, "You're about to die, yet you still have the heart to ridicule me. You're simply courting death." Boom. Kongsha said, taking a step forward and stretching out his right hand. Intense flame energy manifested into an extremely terrifying flaming palm that tore through the starry sky like an angry dragon, rushing towards Zhuo Wen. Kongsha followed closely behind, his hands blazing with flames, ready to strike. Obviously, he was going all out this time, intending to kill. Zhuo Wen's expression changed slightly. Kongsha's attack was too terrifying, and he knew that with his current cultivation, he couldn't take it head-on. Although he could still shoot the Huyi divine arrow, it needed time to accumulate power. Kongsha obviously knew the weakness of the Huyi divine arrow, so he attacked decisively, not giving Zhuo Wen any time to accumulate power. Zhuo Wen was also very decisive. He kept retreating, and at the same time, he immediately took out 3 spacetime keys and combined them without hesitation. Suddenly, the 3 spacetime keys combined and emitted a strong light. It was a light that was close to spacetime, and it was extremely strange. Then, a huge spacetime vortex appeared around Zhuowen. Zhuowen stepped into the spacetime vortex, and his figure quickly disappeared. Then, the spacetime vortex quickly closed. Kongsha, Zhuowen, will remember today's grudge. The next time I see you, I'll kill you. After the spacetime vortex closed, Zhuowen's cold voice sounded, shaking heaven and earth. Kongsha stopped and looked at the spacetime vortex that had disappeared. He was so angry that his teeth itched. He didn't expect Zhuowen to have such a trump card. At the same time, Kongsha was also a little worried. Zhuowen was very talented, and he had the terrifying Huyi divine arrow. If they really met again, Kongsha didn't know if he would have the strength to kill this kid. Humph. I'll wait here. Since this kid disappeared from here, maybe he'll come back here the next time he comes out. Chapter 2698. The spacetime temple. Zhuowen felt the world spin as if the spacetime around him was constantly twisting, causing his entire body to feel pain and tension. After he gradually adapted to the feeling of spacetime flying, he immediately mobilized the spacetime law he had comprehended. Only then was he barely able to resist the tearing force of spacetime around him. Zhuowen looked around and discovered that the surroundings were gray and hazy. Within this gray haze, there were even thin lines of light. They were like flying spacetime that rapidly streaked past Zhuowen's eyes. This is the space where the spacetime temple is located. Zhuowen stopped in place and observed his surroundings. He knew that this should be the spacetime temple space, but he didn't see it. Zhuowen's entire body was suffused with the spacetime law. Then, he transformed into a stream of light that shot forward. At the same time, his powerful divine sense spread out and began to investigate his surroundings. It had to be said that Zhuowen's divine sense was indeed much more powerful than an ordinary cultivator's. In the spacetime temple space, the spacetime law was extremely vast, and the suppression on the divine sense was even more terrifying. If it was an ordinary cultivator, their divine sense would probably only be able to extend a few meters or even a few dozen meters. However, Zhuowen's divine sense could extend over 1,000 meters. With such a powerful divine sense, Zhuowen could completely avoid the dangers and traps ahead of him. Someone has trespassed into the spacetime domain. Kill him. Suddenly, after flying for several hours, Zhuowen discovered a group of beast soldiers a few thousand meters ahead of him. There were about 50 of them. All of them were covered in scales and had huge hammer-like tails. The moment Zhuowen discovered this group of beast soldiers, the leader of this group of beast soldiers also discovered Zhuowen. Thus, it whistled towards Zhuowen, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws in an attempt to kill Zhuowen. Zhuowen revealed a strange expression as he gazed at this group of soldiers. Because he noticed that all of them were actually experts at the extremes of life and death, and the leader of the soldiers was even a half-step Heaven Dao Lord. If such a team was placed in the 8 heavens, it would be an invincible existence. It was more than enough to attack any one of the 8 heavens. The beast soldiers were very fast, and all of them seemed to have comprehended the spacetime law. In the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of Zhuowen. Despicable humans, entering the spacetime domain is simply courting death. The leader of the soldiers let out a ferocious laugh, his sharp teeth reflecting a chilling cold light. Holding the long spear in his hand, he mercilessly stabbed towards Zhuowen's vital points. Zhuowen laughed coldly in his heart. This leader was merely a quasi-Heaven Dao Lord, yet he was simply courting death by acting so arrogantly before Zhuowen. Zhuowen clenched his right fist and casually punched out, smashing the tip of the leader's long spear. The leader of the soldiers was shocked to discover that the tip of the spear had been directly smashed apart. A terrifying force spread out from the tip of the spear, and then the entire spear curled up. Poochie. The moment the fist smashed the long spear, it also landed on the beast soldier leader's chest under its horrified gaze. A terrifying force exploded. The beast soldier leader let out a blood-curdling scream as it was blown to smithereens. It couldn't be any more dead than this. Leader. Many of the soldiers were shocked when they saw their leader being killed with a single punch, and they couldn't help but cry out in alarm. But soon, they were enraged. How could they tolerate the death of their leader in front of their eyes? They disregarded their own lives and surrounded Zhuowen, wanting to kill this human. Unfortunately, this human was too abnormal. He only casually punched out, and every punch was able to completely kill a soldier. Not long after, the entire beast army was slaughtered by Zhuowen. Every single one of them was killed. Of course, Zhuowen left one alive. This was also a soldier, but this soldier was scared out of his wits. When Zhuowen was constantly killing the soldiers, this soldier hid in fear and wanted to escape. However, he was caught by Zhuowen. Do you know where the temporal temple is? Zhuowen asked indifferently as he held the soldier who was scared out of his wits. The soldier was trembling, and he had already thrown away the long spear in his hand. He looked at the human in front of him in horror, and he was so scared that he couldn't speak. I'm asking you a question. Do you want to die? Zhuowen said with a frown. No. I'm telling you, the temporal temple is located in the deepest part of the temporal domain. It's the most mysterious place in the temporal domain, and it's the cave of Lord Ying-Sai. The soldier was so scared that he didn't dare to hide anything and told him everything about the temporal temple. After hearing this, Zhuowen's expression became serious. From this soldier, he learned that there were many soldier squads in the temporal domain. They were all servants that Ying-Sai had subdued in the early years, and each of them was very strong. In particular, there were 3 soldier squads that were the most terrifying. The weakest of the soldiers was a heavenly Tao master, and the leader was a primordial chaos master. Each of these 3 soldier squads could easily kill a primordial chaos master and restrain a heaven's mandate master. It was said that these 3 soldier squads were guarding the outermost area of the temporal temple, and they resisted any outsiders who wanted to enter. Ying-Sai was naturally the master of the temporal temple. Zhuowen estimated that Ying-Sai's strength should be around the 2nd step of the Tao confirming realm, but he didn't know what realm he was at. However, he was sure of one thing, and that was that the master of the temporal temple was definitely seriously injured and had less than 10% of his strength left. Even if Ying-Sai was a 2nd step Tao confirming realm expert, his strength was not as strong as before. Zhuowen might not be afraid of such an existence. The soldier also mentioned that because Ying-Sai's life was unknown, it seemed that the soldier squads here had begun to covet the things in the temporal temple. If someone entered here with 3 temporal keys, they would definitely be fought over. This was also the reason why these soldier squads were so excited when they saw Zhuowen. Zhuowen let the soldier go and continued to move forward. Although he was careful, he still encountered many soldier squads along the way. However, Zhuowen was too strong, and the soldier squads he encountered along the way were easily defeated and killed by Zhuowen. Gradually, because Zhuowen's movements were too loud, he completely attracted the attention of many soldier squads in the temporal domain. Therefore, soldier squads gathered one after another, determined to kill Zhuowen. Unfortunately, Zhuowen was too brave. With the Pangu sacred body, he was not afraid of a group battle at all. No matter how many soldier squads came, Zhuowen basically killed them all. Many soldier squads were frightened and terrified. For a time, the soldiers in the temporal domain were in a panic. After seeing Zhuowen's terrifying strength, many soldier squads did not dare to come forward to kill Zhuowen. In the depths of the temporal domain, a magnificent palace stood, surrounded by powerful temporal lore. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.